I'm on vacation every single day, cause I love my occupation. Hey, I'm on vacation. If you don't like your life, then you should go and change it. Hey, I'm on vacation every single day, cause I love my occupation. Hey, I'm on vacation every single day, every single day. Every single day, every single day. Every single day, every single day. Everybody sour like a lemon tree. I'm just smiling down upon my enemies. Do the shit and love it on a daily. You say you hate your job, but you'll never leave, never leave. But that ain't gonna be me, that ain't gonna be me. My brother called me up, said he saw me on TV. I said it was
May 22nd, 2020, from the Troy Lee Design Saloon in Corona, California. Welcome to the Whiskey Throttle Show. Today we've got Maximus Vohland, son of Talon, nephew of Tyson, first of his name, King of the North.
I like that name, Maximus. It's like commanding. Yeah.
Maximus.
Yeah.
Max Vohland is here, guys. This is arguably one of the hottest amateur kids right now in the United States, and he's kind of got a plan to get himself into the professional ranks in the next 18 months. We had his dad Talon on last week, and so we thought, hey, he's down here doing some training. Let's get him on. Let's chat with him at this point in his career. It's something different than what normally we focus on later in their career, so they've got all these stories to tell. But we thought, let's see what kids these days are doing. Maybe we learn a TikTok dance. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
See what these young kids
We're just going to see what happens. Yeah. With me, as always, our co-host, Grant Langston.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Good to see you, GL. And Mr. Donnie Bales, our producer.
Yeah.
How we doing, guy?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. Yeah.
All right. And Max, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you on, man. Yeah. We've got some cool sponsors. Yamaha is one of them. And I just would ask that you go consider them when you're buying stuff that they make. Because that's about as basic as I can get.
Yeah, they make great product. There's no reason why you...
Absolutely. They're leaders in the power sports industry, unrivaled quality and performance. Amazing products.
And they have a nice spread. They've got something for everyone.
They really do. I saw their new, they got a boat. I mean, they've been making boats, but their newest ones look legit. And they're all impeller driven.
Yep.
That's interesting. I've never
they're
been
nice,
in one. But
they're super clean, the way everything's like incorporated and just...
Yeah, I have one.
You have a Yamaha?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
SX240.
He's a smart man.
Yeah. Thing's amazing. 360 horsepower. That rips.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Donnie, what don't you have? Let's keep the list short.
What kind of motor's in it?
It's basically two essentially souped up R1 motors.
That's tight. Probably sounds sweet, too.
They sound, it's wicked.
Nasty sounding?
Oh, yeah.
R1 sounds
you know what's nice about it, too, is when you hammer the thing full throttle, there's not a lot of bow rise. The thing just pops straight up out of the water
Gets
and
on the
goes.
plane, huh?
Yeah. Oh, quick.
Huh. Oh, well, thanks for inviting me out, on the water.
You got a boat.
I just invited myself out to his place. When are we going? A couple weeks?
Couple weeks.
Well, I'm going, so just leave me a key under the mat.
The problem is I have two boats, so I need to figure out whatever.
Well, the other's the pontoon, right?
Yeah, I got a big pontoon.
The old man boat.
Yeah. Well, it does like 55 or so as well.
Yeah, but if you had to have a suit,
55?
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it gets
that gets going.
It's a deck boat or a pontoon?
It's a pontoon. It's a tri-toon. It goes good.
That's a death trap.
Dude, listen, I
need to make it the pontoon out of the
Listen, I was on the water.
Bring back the 90s.
Wide open in the boat. Now with the tops up and full of people, it won't do 55. But so I'm going 45 or something, and somebody in another pontoon rips by me 20 miles an hour faster.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And on the water, that feels pretty quick.
You guys were drinking early out at the lake, I see. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Yamaha, go check them out. Awesome stuff. Power Dot, get over and check out Power Dot. Their single and duo units change the game on injury prevention, injury management, injury recovery, inflammation reduction, etc.
They pay for themselves.
Oh, yeah,
because
easy.
you can save on chiropractor, massages, all that. So.
Well, that's it. And if you have not been able to go to your chiropractor, maybe you're looking for something, this is it. Amazing products. And 20% off using the code Whiskey Throttle. Method Race Wheels, bringing you our front-end chatter segment. If you're looking for wheels, 20% off using our code. Troy Lee Designs. SKDA brings you our Get At Me Q&A. And they're doing 20% off all Whiskey Throttle Show graphics, so check them out. Adidas, still making the best damn shoes in the biz.
Mm-hmm. Don't be a dick to your feet.
pro circuit. Get over there and check out their stuff. 10% off using our code, and also follow them on Instagram. All kinds of cool discounts. They do a weekly product. It's usually something that's several years old, but they're blowing it out. And a lot of times it's something that you want. Dunlop tires, best tires in the game. Get yourself an MX 53 front and a 33 rear. You will not be disappointed. Nihilo Concepts giving you a free gift anytime you buy anything over there. Just mention our code. And great products there too. Fire Department Coffee, 20% off using the code. An additional 10% going to firefighter charities. And these guys have all kinds of cool products. So get over there and check them out. Seat Concepts, just the most comfortable saddles. All kinds of different colors, grip combinations.
Yeah, grip levels.
Yeah, so great stuff over there at Seat Concepts. Specialized bicycles. Whether you're looking for a cross-country bike, the new Stump Jumper is an amazing bike. For what you pay, man, you get a lot of bicycle. If you want to go all the way up to the Epic for really high-end cross-country stuff, you can. E-bikes, we both have the Canevos, which are
Insane.
so fun. Just such a fun bike.
The Turbo Caneva is insane. They're fast.
Yeah.
I mean, now that the traction's a little down, you get some wheel spin coming out of the corners.
Yeah, they're fun. So check those guys out. OGO, all kinds of cool products over there. Get over to OGO Power Sports and check out their complete line of stuff. Let's jump into the Method Race Wheels front end chatter. These guys bringing you the lightest, strongest, fastest wheels in off-road. Trucks, sprinters, vans, UTVs, take them in. They make wheels for it. So the first thing, we figured we'd kind of hit on some amateur motocross stuff with Max here. How important, and we touched on this with Talon actually a little bit, is how important is a successful amateur career as it relates to having a successful pro career? And I don't think that the two are really tied together that much.
I think that there's we've seen guys dominate through amateurs and carry that on all the way through, but the amateurs is, I think it's a good footprint and it can kind of show you roughly where people are, but it's also not the be-all and end-all. I think that transition from amateur to pro, everyone handles it differently. Some guys get injured at the wrong time. Maybe they didn't get that ride that they wanted. Now they're on a different team. Because how often have you seen, and maybe you could attest to this, but I see kids when let's say they win the 250, 450A at Loretta's and they're getting ready to move up, and you go. And when I was racing, be it Glen Helen, and the amateur kid was faster than me, and I'm like, this is not supposed to be like that. Then they turn pro, hit the ground a couple times, maybe Supercross, whatever, and then a few months down the road, I'm like, that kid's slower than he was 6 months ago. So there definitely is how that transition goes, but I also don't think, I mean, if you look, Alessi won everything in amateurs, and then, yes, he got the Fight Club win, which is a big one, but he never won a pro title.
Yeah.
And he was the winningest amateur rider, so, yeah. I think there's a lot of guys. I mean, Dungy didn't win. We talked about McGrath. He was an older one. But,
Dowd.
There's a lot of guys that didn't really have success, and all of a sudden they flicked the switch when it counted.
What do you think, Max? What's your take on it?
Yeah, for me, I mean, amateur racing, it's its own thing. And for me, like, amateur racing doesn't really mean anything. I could win every amateur race there is, and it's not going to matter. What matters is when you're in the pros. So that's when you really need to ramp it up, and you really need to take things seriously and be. That's when you need to be good, because that's when you get the money, you get the rides. That's where you need to, especially your first few years are really important.
Well, it's tough because you got to be good enough
to get
the pro ride, right? But I think, like you're saying, that where it really starts to matter is once you're actually racing pro. You're pretty lucky to have your dad, having a guy like that as your mentor, your coach, who's really been there and done that. So, it was impressive to me listening to the things you two have talked about, and how your perspective on how soon you get into the pro racing stuff. And man, you just got a really good coach in your corner.
Yeah, I've been lucky with the life I've been given, and having my dad, and really the main one is my uncle. He's the one that's the strategist, and he's the one that plans everything, and he's the one that really calls the shots. So.
Is that right? Tyson's really, you guys, your dad too, will listen to him? And
oh yeah, he's the biggest voice behind us. We go to the practice track, say we're training, off. Sometimes my dad has a different opinion, but usually Tyson knows everything.
Yeah,
this is the right way to go. Like, hey, it's time not to ride, or yeah, no, you're fine. You should be able to do more riding today, or training, or just the whole program in general. He's the one that's really calling the shots.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Multiple voices.
Do you like going to amateur nationals? Like, is it fun to you, or is it kind of like stressful?
It's always fun to win.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
So that's the best part about going to amateur racing. But
I would agree.
Amateur racing is also not to the level I would want it to be to get ready for the pros. I feel like 5 laps just isn't it. And Retta's is still 20 minutes, which is the best we have right now. But I mean, I'd rather see 35 plus 2s.
Yeah.
Well, you've also had a chance, like almost a bit of a tease, with a little bit of the Red Bull straight rhythm.
Yeah.
Even a couple of years ago, even though you didn't race, you were still able to go and ride and get some practice in and be around those guys. So it seems like you're almost planning for that step. Like I watch you and I'm like, he's smart. When he can get his foot in the door and go ride with those guys, you do. Even when we've had, I think we had I forget which riding schools it was, but you've come to the riding schools.
Jesse Nelson.
For Jesse Nelson, yeah, it was that one. And I'm like, and you said to me, anything I can do better? I'm like, well, if I'm going to be very critical, maybe there, and that's about it. But, I mean, you've taken every opportunity. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's just the goal we've been going with, and trying to be strategic with it and not just get thrown in and having those rookie injuries or those rookies' mistakes is what we're trying to minimize the most.
Well, and amateur racing has really changed a lot. I mean, even the Monster Energy Cup, that didn't exist for amateur kids years
That's
ago.
a big deal for these guys.
Now you're getting on a mini bike on a pretty much a real Supercross
I was going to say, they're riding the whole thing.
But there's fans, there's lights. It's the real deal that way. What was that for you? What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's great now that us guys, we have some of those opportunities like Red Bull Straight Rhythm or Monster Cup where you get to ride under the lights in the same stadium, same track as the pros, and yeah, it puts us under a lot of pressure, but it also gets us used to that pressure. Yeah. So that's the main thing for me is just getting as much of that as possible. And Monster Cup was obviously one of the greatest races I've had so far in my career.
Yeah, was it?
I won both motos, and I was riding really good. In practice, actually, they had the big Dragon's back. It was probably the biggest Dragon's back any of the top pros have seen, and I skimmed it in practice. I was skimming it until it ended up getting a little dry, and I caught an edge off the top and crashed. And it was just one of those races where I got lucky. It was just my race to win because I came away without a scratch, and it's probably one of the biggest crashes I had.
You kind of went over the bars, right?
Yeah, I didn't crash a lot.
No, but I mean, it was just like...
It was like I was skimming up the top of it, and it dropped straight into the top, and I caught an edge on the second to last one. It dropped into the top, and I kind of scrubbed off the last one and then nose into the one that you're supposed to jump over. And then I don't know how it happened, but rolled all the way up the berm, and I got up and was like, I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm good. I've never had that bit gnarly of a crash. And be like,
sometimes you just roll right.
I'm just good. Yeah, just got lucky.
Well, as my dad used to say, it's not the crash that injures you, it's that sudden stop.
Yeah.
So if you can tuck and roll and dissipate the force, you get away with a lot of those.
Did you roll to the downside of the thing at least?
I had to have cleared because everything's just a blur when you're crashing. But I had to have downside the roller and rolled up the berm because bike was bars were all the way down to the forks. I mean, the bike was total.
Oh, man.
So we had to swap bars and a couple other things and yeah, it was just my race to win, and I rode good.
Was that when you're sitting on the line or when you're out there riding? Was it more pressure? Did it seem weird or different compared to like a Loretta's or World Mini or something?
Oh, definitely way more pressure because you literally see everyone in the crowd and you're just sitting on the line, 30-second boards up. I don't know why, but the first moto, the gate took so long to drop, or maybe just no one's used to it because usually the pros, they wait a bit, but when then they start revving, well, all the kids are super.
Didn't they have a malfunction that year on that gate?
They've had a malfunction several years.
Yeah, that gate malfunctioned, I think. Not on yours, but I think on the pro race.
Well, and it's... it's always between 5 and 10 seconds. Yeah. So, I used to always, when it would go sideways, I'd count to 3 before I'd even put it in gear.
Yeah, I waited a bit because I assumed, but I mean, none of the kids.
Once you hear everybody else wind it up, you're like, oh shit,
everyone's all checked.
Everyone else is wide open, so all the clutches were practically fried by the time the gate dropped.
That's funny.
But I was pretty big on Super Minis, and I remember going into that race, and another thing is right before we had to change gearing because we were doing, months of practicing Supercross on my usual set of gearing that I was doing. And we went to practice graded starts out at Milestone. We had a little Orange Brigade camp with just whatever KTM guys were riding Monster Cup. And bike bogged off the start. Couldn't get off the grate.
Oh, really?
All. Yeah, so we had to completely switch up the gearing, the front sprocket, rear sprocket. But it ended up making the bike a lot better because I'd come in corners, second, click third to hit the triple coming into the corner or the Supercross triple, typical two strokes. But with the gearing that we had, I was able to run third around the whole track. I don't even think I shifted once.
Is that right?
Third. Yeah, it was really surprising. So
That's interesting.
we only got like 20 minutes of riding on that before we had to go to the race, because the race was like we pressed A and then racing. So
Yeah.
that was one thing. And usually we never like doing that, but it was just it was just my race to win. It was everything that could have went bad didn't go bad, and I got lucky, and
Yeah.
I ended up getting away.
Was that the first time you'd started on those metal grates for that race?
Yeah, it was. I had.
What was that like? I've never done those. I've never started off one of those things.
It's different. You're so used to dirt and like having throttle control, and then the
Yeah.
grate's just 110% grip.
So are you higher RPMs and then a slower?
Well, yeah, especially when I was a little bit bigger on the Super Mini, so I was definitely outweighting the thing. So
Yeah.
I really needed almost at the top, and then you're.
You like it or no? You like the grate?
I feel like the grate is it definitely levels the playing field, but it also sucks for some people. I mean, you're not a good starter. It will help you not get started, but if you are a good starter and you're good with like throttle control, then you
Yeah.
have the
Takes it away.
advantage. There's
Yeah.
no more advantages now. So
Well, and I think too, we're getting off on a rabbit hole here, but like that sucks if you're busting your ass in timed
Yeah,
qualifying.
if you're number one.
Yep.
You get this great gate pick. You're supposed to be able to have the
An
best
advantage.
pick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's supposed to be an advantage to that. Now it's like, okay, maybe your positioning's better, but you could be first or fifth, and it's like it's the
doesn't
same.
matter.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it
exactly
really
the
doesn't
same.
Yeah, instead of spending 3 hours on starts during a practice day, now you're just going to do a couple of starts. Okay, I have this down on a practice day, and that's going to
Yeah.
be it.
Yeah, if I had my way, I'd get rid of starting devices and go back to dirt. If you go back and watch, there used to be so much more separation.
yeah, and it's safer that way when there's separation.
Yeah,
You
'cause
don't have
instead of
these
everyone coming at the same time.
big first turn pileups that we
Yep.
see now.
What's better or worse than it used to be in amateur motocross? And I know you can't really speak to the old stuff, but I mean, Gio, what do you think?
Better or worse? Well, I think what's better is the over time you see there's structure, there's a bit of a roadmap, qualify to go here. People kind of at least have a goal or a direction. I think if you go back in time, especially a lot of our guests that have retired, you talk to them like, well, we lived here, so there was enough racing there, and we could go here and we could go there. It's changed, but I think it's a little more structured and organized. With that, what I think is worse is with the money and the big corporations involved, whether it's a Monster or Red Bull or whoever it may be, and these other companies, comes pressure on kids. And I think we get into motocross to have fun, and then when kids become good, which is what they wanted, the fun almost gets pulled out of it, because it's like, well, we're not here to have fun, we're here to win. And I remember when I was a kid, when it was fun, I was usually winning, so they made it even more fun. But
Yep.
when it got serious, like when you weren't the favorite and you moved up and it was just so serious, it was like, this is not fun. And I lost that for a little while, and then I started winning in that class. I'm like, actually, it's not too bad.
It's fun again. Never mind.
But some of the fun's been pulled out, and it's gotten a little serious. And I think for kids at that age, when I looked at someone like Cincerella, who was 11 years old, and they were comparing him to being the next McGrath, and Cowie's running around after him and all that. And I remember I was at an amateur race, and I was like, that just doesn't seem right. A grown men running around a child. I don't know. It just looked awkward.
It's like that in every sport. They're
I'm sure.
they're grooming kids that are 10 years old in
But
every sport.
Before they were grooming them at 15, 16 to go pro. Now it's like, ooh, that 7-year-old, he can scrub. I'm going to sign him to a 20-year contract.
Oh, this kid walked at 7 months. I'm going to sign him.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you see what he did on that little Stasic bike?
Yeah,
You got a
listen.
5-year contract, kid.
Well,
Do you still have fun riding? Like, do you have days scheduled in? I don't want Talon to kick my ass here, but where you just go ride for fun? Like, hey, we're just going to go play today.
sometimes. I mean, I plan on it sometimes, but really, right now, riding is serious, and we take it training the entire time. But when I first got the 250 two-stroke, that was the most fun I've had riding, and I couldn't tell you how long.
Yeah.
It's like the last 3 years has just been like Super Mini, and then 125 like training, and then I got the 250 two-stroke, and I was like, holy crap, this is actually fun to ride.
Yeah.
And then and then I kind of got bored of that, and now the 125 is fun again.
Yeah.
So
Do you guys have any places to go just play ride? Like, what is it, Carnegie? Like, isn't there big hills and stuff?
I haven't been there. I'm sure there's places we don't know of, but we do have a riverbed track that we have been riding. And, I mean, there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, we have the national tracks, what we call it, and it's like super rough. And then we have just whatever's ever built out there. Some just like
that
turns
Marysville?
or yeah,
Yeah.
Marysville. There's like a turn track, oval track, figure eight, some jumps, and like a full blown turn track. Some off road guys made, and that's my play riding. Like we'll do motos, and then at the end of the day, I'll go mess around over on the other stuff. And you gotta keep it fun, or else you're just gonna get burnt out. So
do your work, but have fun.
Yeah.
I saw. Speaking of fun, I saw on your Instagram. You've been riding the electric.
Yeah, that's been the main.
What's it? The
source
free
of-
ride, right? Is it
Yeah,
what it's
yeah,
free ride?
free
Yeah,
ride.
what are you doing that? I've actually had people hit me up and say, hey, this was back when all the tracks were closed. They're
Yeah.
like, if I was to get one of these electric bikes and just like ride in my backyard, make a little thing, would that be good? Would it help me? And I'm like, I don't know. I mean, it's the
I
same
feel like-
principles. You could work on technique
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
stuff.
But
I
they
don't know.
feel a lot different, in my
Oh,
opinion,
yeah.
because there's no
Yeah.
inertia.
Yeah.
So when you do stuff, when I rode the old, I try to whip it, and I'm like, this is awkward because the
Yeah.
inertia didn't
Yeah.
pull it back. So I went flat, and then I almost landed like
Yeah.
that. I had to pull it back, and I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, that was weird.
Well,
So
and
it's
you have no
different.
clutch and you have no
Yep.
gears.
Nope.
So you're
It's-
just,
It takes a minute to
Yeah.
get the hang
Yeah,
of it.
I finally am getting there on like getting used to it. But with this whole COVID going on, me and my dad have had the idea just to get that bike for a while now. But then like once this hit and there's no tracks open, we're like, well, this is a perfect time.
Yeah.
It's a little bit risky to invest, but we ended up buying one and it's been fun and great. And really we've only been using it for technical stuff. Nose wheelies,
Yeah.
some corners, just play jumps. That's all we've been doing on that thing.
even like if you were to do just trail riding, like some technical
Yeah.
stuff, it's still good for balance and
Eye-hand coordination, the whole
yeah.
nine.
So where do you
Yeah.
take it?
We have this spot that my dad used to, technically that's where he used to practice Supercross is
Okay.
behind the hospital, and there used to be no houses out there, so
Good place to practice behind the hospital.
yeah.
It's just a quick drive over when you're done.
Yeah, 911. No, I'm right here. I just
Look out your
you.
window. Look at that's me. It's a FEMA.
Hey, but your dad's like, back in the day, I used to turn this corner like this over here.
Yeah.
I think we're riding in a little bit different spot because it is like a little bit of a riverbed.
It
and
looked
so it's
green.
more- Yeah,
When you post
there's
some of those
a little
pictures, there were
creek,
trees
But
and-
yeah, there's a lot of trees and green. So there's like a little bit of the sand pit where the water, I guess, used to be, and then there's the hard hills with rocks and stuff. So we got both. And then also, if you go down the road, there's a huge mountain bike area where guys have been building jumps for years, like big mountain bike jumps. Like you like hit this on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Like
Are you doing it on the e-bike?
yeah, then we do it on the e-bike. So
Don't let them catch you. They'll probably be pissed.
we have a shovel and we fix
You
it
fix
up.
it up,
But
right.
I mean, they've been there for so long; they're so hard packed.
Yeah,
that
but
you
yeah,
really don't do
yeah.
much.
Like
I've
Blue
had
Roo.
people say the same thing, and I'm like, I have as much right to ride there as they do.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Yeah.
I got into it with some mountain bike guys because I'm like, you're on government land, I'm on government land. I got a plate. I actually paid to be here. I said, you're in the wrong. Now piss off.
Gio
Don't give
likes
me shit.
Gio likes having
piss
friendly
off.
relations with bicyclists.
Well, you can roost them as well and just be a dick if you want
Yeah.
to. Not
All right.
that I would do that.
No.
That was our Method Race Wheels front end chatter. Get over there and check them out. Also, go to whiskeythrottleshow.com. Check out our new website. Lots of cool stuff over there, including all our merchandise if you're looking for shirts like this. So get over there and check it out. All right. So you're from Sacramento area, right?
Yeah.
What is the actual name of the town you're in?
Granite Bay, California.
Granite Bay.
Yep.
Cool.
Granite?
Granite. Yeah.
Oh, Granite Bay.
Whole bunch of granite rocks around there.
Yeah. So how old were you when you started?
Well, I think I got a bike around 3 or 4, and it was a super old KTM 50.
Okay.
I think it was like still air cooled. It was super old, and we were just riding out at Prairie City because Prairie City has got the Hangtown track, and then they have the park where
Yeah.
a lot
Yeah.
of the average.
There's a lot
guys
of cool
ride.
stuff there
Yeah,
to go
there is.
ride
There's
if you
some,
go look
there's
around.
some cool stuff out there, and I was just riding a little 50 track there, and I like whiskey throttle off a jump or something. I was like trying to race this kid. Little kid don't understand what risk is or getting
Yeah.
hurt. You just wide
Penning
open.
it.
Yeah. So my dad kind of got scared and was like, "All right, we can't do bikes right now." So we ended up buying bicycles and got into racing that.
Okay. All right.
So-
So that tied. He sent me some photos, and there's one of you and
Yep.
Is it Jet Reynolds? There's
Prob-
you and somebody.
Numbers 79 would be Jet.
Anyway, you guys are little, teeny tiny, and you're on bicycles, and there's a picture of you guys on motorcycles
okay.
together.
So when you say bicycles, you mean like BMX,
BMX,
or
Yeah,
downhill?
BMX.
Okay.
BMX.
Yeah.
Racing BMX bikes. Yeah.
Cool. So you
So-
guys did that for a while.
Yeah, I started, and I just remember we were practicing a lot, and the first race I ever did was out of our local track in Roseville, and I don't know if it was for charity or what it was, but it was free to race. So you could just sign up and race. And I don't know what class I was signed up in, but I ended up winning it and got like a little paper certificate as my first trophy. And I got first, and I was like, that's the first trophy I ever
Nice.
had.
Do you still have it?
Yeah, still
Yeah.
in the garage.
Yeah, good. Keep
sitting
it.
there on the wall.
That's
first,
cool.
First race I ever won. And then, yeah, we got into that, and I think I got up to 6 expert, which is like the top of the age group. But then it was about time where like I'm good enough now on the bicycle. Actually, I'm glad that I did bicycle because I've learned a lot of stuff doing that, and I've brought it over to moto, especially when I first got on to dirt bikes from switching over. So I think I was about 6 or 7 when I started riding, just about 2010, I believe.
Okay.
And then I think we got another KTM 50 is what I started with, and then once you start getting competitive, the Cobras were just the 50s that you had to have to race.
Those things are wicked.
Yeah.
So you jumped on one of those things right away?
Yeah, and then I believe I did get a ride from Cobra for a year there when I was like, it was the end of the 50s. We didn't go to any nationals on 50s though. I did no Rettas, no nothing. I think the biggest race I did was like Dodge, which was like our amateur race at Hangtown.
Yeah.
Or the or amateur day at Hangtown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or do you still ride bicycles?
No,
Like BMX
I
bikes?
ride my mountain bike.
Okay.
Training,
I
yeah.
have a lot of like I can flat ground wheelies, nose wheelies, all that stuff. I got that stuff dialed. That's all I do on my free times. I'll just go out and pop wheelies, circle wheelies, and my dad's like, how do you even do that?
Yeah.
Because he got me into wheeling because that's what he did when he was a kid, and you just wheelie, and then I'm like way better than him now. So
That's awesome.
You know what's funny is I think that happens when I was younger. We had BMX bikes that we played around in, and I was the first kid to wheelie around our whole block, and I'm trying to think. It probably was about a half a mile.
It's a pretty good wheelie on a BMX bike?
Maybe not quite a half mile. I'm probably exaggerating. It was probably quarter, third mile.
On a 20-inch BMX bike? or
Yeah. I remember it was a GT Dyno. Bought it used for my buddy. And I remember when I came around, my mom was, you didn't wheelie all the way. I'm like, I swear to God. I was pissed off because they were telling me I dropped it somewhere. And I'm like, no, I didn't. But it's fun. But I think like there's some crossover. And I think motocross guys have a tendency to like, obviously, being on a bike.
yeah, 2 wheels.
Yeah.
Well, look, Jeremy proved that taking that BMX technique and really understanding backsides and carrying momentum, it transfers over.
Yeah, I remember in BMX the whoops. They're practically Supercross whoops. Just hella rolled out, but that was my best part of the track. I would pass 2 or 3 kids every time I would race, and just pumping the whoops. That was my best technique. I don't know where I learned it from or how I got it, but I've definitely transferred that to moto, sand whoops and stuff. I'm glad
use
I
your
did
body
BMX.
to manipulate the bike.
Well, and you got the long... Dude, you're growing. I saw you just a couple years ago, and you were
I wasn't
not as tall as you are.
Not even close.
I want to say I was looking down at you. Now I'm like, hey... Big growth spurt, but that'll help, through whoops and rollers and stuff.
Yeah,
same stuff.
I'm glad I'm this tall because I'd rather be a little bit taller than shorter when it comes to Supercross and whoops. So,
does your dad push you pretty hard, or is he kind of just?
Sometimes I wish he would. Sometimes I'd be like, man, I really need a good, kick in the butt. But from his standpoint of going through his whole career, it's just like I listen to him, even though sometimes I don't want to. But I kind of just have to, because if I don't, then it'd be pretty stupid of me not to.
Well, listen, when we talk to him about it's really easy when you get older, like us, and you're looking back on everything, man, I should have listened to that guy. But when you're young, like you are, it's so hard. It's so hard to listen to him because you swear they don't know what they're talking about. But I promise you, your dad knows what he's talking about. You got to listen to him. I'm telling you. Be the best thing you ever did for yourself.
All right, well, we fixed that problem. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Pig just sorted it out. He's never going to back chat ever again.
No, I know you probably will, but then you'll look back one day and go, God.
No, he'll be telling his
guys
kid.
are right.
I got to tell you something. My dad told me, and I'm going to tell you.
Did he ride with you early on? He ride alongside you or no?
Yeah, when I was first on 50s, I think he had like a Honda 70 that he just rode behind me with, and
okay.
So I think that's really where it started. But I think once I got on the 65s,
he quit.
Yeah, he quit. I was too fast for him on 65s.
Yeah. He's shaking his head. He's pissed.
There's always that crossing of the guard.
Who's some of the other guys you grew up riding with up there?
One of my great friends, his name's Carter Luttrell.
Okay.
he works at one of the motocross shops up there. Is our local shop, Roseville Yamaha, and
I've been there. I know the place.
Okay,
I did an
yeah.
autograph signing there.
Oh, okay, sweet.
Cool people.
So, yeah, he works there, and he's telling me they're selling like crazy right now. Like they bought so many KLX 110s, and they're gone. They're gone.
Yeah,
everything's gone.
What's going on with mini bike or pit bikes? They're
it's the new craze. It's like the 50 craze from 20 years ago. It's back, but it's 110s.
Yeah,
we
That's
ordered
wild,
as many as we possibly could, and we're sold out already. And we're in May, and we don't have any coming till the 21s arrive.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Cool. But I mean, yeah.
it's good because some of those, a lot of those are actually kids buying them. Some of them are grown kids, you know. But
Adults that act like kids.
yeah,
Yeah.
I just got a TTR. I'm just saying, for the kids. Can I ride, Dad? No.
Yeah, I'm going to buy one for my son too.
Yeah.
But he's never going to ride it.
But some of those kids are getting into just recreational riding, like the KLX and a lot of those TTRs and that. People, it's more like I ride behind my house, ride with my friends. But when people get in organically, there could be that another little wave coming of this sort of maybe moto becomes cool again.
Yeah.
You know, I think it lost a little bit. Now people were just getting out and riding. And I think people have rediscovered, you know, I enjoy getting out and doing this.
Yeah.
Funny you say that, Jill. I'm going to go ride behind your house.
Yeah. I've been actually, we got jumps and
No, yeah, I'm gonna
tracks
go back
and all
there.
that kind of stuff.
I'm going to buy one for my son that I don't have. Oh, yeah, I have a bike.
Me, your son, me.
That's right.
You.
So did this buddy Carter, did he used to race? I feel like I know that name.
His dad raced. His
Okay.
dad did some local races, and he did some nationals.
Okay. So
So-
maybe that's where I've seen the name or heard it. What about, do you race with, is it Ryder DiFrancesco or is it Jet
really.
Reynolds?
I
You guys
I
grow
rode a little bit with Ryder, but mainly Jet.
You guys are buddies or more competitors or what?
Definitely rivals.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I was going to say, you guys are at that point
Yeah,
now. where
we've been at that point since 50s. We've been battling each other.
So you're in the same class again still?
No, so I'm riding 125s, but soon once I get to the 250, we'll be in the same class.
He's on a 250F.
He's
right?
on a 250F.
Yeah. They don't have
Yeah,
125s.
he's had a few injuries, like for the past 2 years. It's just been stringing injuries. So
Oh, really?
He hasn't really been riding that much or racing.
Is that since he moved up to the 250?
No, thing is he got too big for the Super Mini. And I mean, I was super big, but the KTM was a little bit bigger bike itself, and he was on the Cowie.
Yeah.
And I think he was just too big for that thing, and he just kept hurting himself.
There was that group of you guys, and I see it with every group every year, but there's always those couple of kids who start growing, but they're still on the mini bike, and they've got to like finish the year on it.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, you were pretty damn big too.
I was so big at Retta's.
You're looking at these guys going, oh man.
My leg was as long as the fork.
I remember a picture you standing flat-footed.
Knees bent.
And you can see daylight. I'm like, I had that once on an 80. I had the same thing. My last year in 80s, when I started the year, I was 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot up, and then by the end of the year, I could stand 2 feet.
You get good starts that way because you can let the bike go and then get on it.
Run with it, maybe.
Yeah.
How was that when you jumped onto a 125 where you're just like, oh, so much better?
I mean, instantly it was like, I have seat room because I was literally riding the rear fender of the Super Mini. Like
Your butt's on the plastic.
My subframes would break because I was just sitting so far back. Yeah.
You must have shot up that year then. Like,
Yeah, no, I hit a huge.
You
growth
went through a
spurt.
big growth spurt.
Yeah.
and you said you haven't ridden a 250F yet.
Not yet. No 4-strokes so far. Soon though, I think we're
Yeah.
getting one in a couple days.
Are you excited about it, or what do you think? You don't really know. I guess
It's a dirt bike. I mean,
Yeah.
it shouldn't be too much of a difference. It's
Yeah.
just engine braking, but I feel like the 125 is definitely helping me with shifting because I mean I'm shifting 3 up
Yeah.
through the straightaways and
Well,
then 2 down into the corner.
What you'll see is it's helping your corner speed.
That too,
because you
yep.
can be so lazy on a 250F,
Don't-
and when on a 125 you just can't. You
Don't you
have to carry momentum.
Don't you feel like, and when we talked to your dad previously, he has a very specific strategy for you, and it seems a little different than other guys where they're always trying to move up so fast, and yet he's trying to kind of keep you contained in these on 125 before going to a 4-stroke. I mean, what do you think about that? The way you see other riders just kind of moving up.
I mean, yeah, me myself, obviously, sometimes Instagram comments are just people that are around locally at the track. You know, they kind of talk crap because they're like, oh, this kid is already riding 250s. What are you doing on 125 or Super Mini even back on when I was riding that thing? And I was just like, I just blow it off, whatever, because my plan's already been set out, and that's what
Yeah.
we're sticking to.
Yeah.
So and it's worked so far. I've won a lot of races, and I've put myself in a great position with a great team. So far so good. And yeah, I mean, you see a lot of these kids going early, maybe too early, and they just get burnt out and they're gone. Like Cantrell and then Folk even, he was on TLB, he's gone too, and Harrison was riding Europe now.
Yeah, there's been some fast kids that just, like you said,
they just
a little
come in,
injury here, a little something there.
a couple of years, they're gone.
Well, that's the thing. We spoke about that with your dad. It's like the clock starts the minute you turn pro.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And if you have one bad season and you've only got a 1-year deal, like that could be the end of it for you.
Yeah, you could be done completely.
So,
Not to mention when you have a bad season, then the next season they try even harder to make up for it, so it makes it even worse,
and then
and
you're
it
more likely to get
compounds,
hurt.
and then you're more likely to get hurt.
there's just no reason to rush. So it's good to see that you guys have a good plan. You're taking it easy.
It just feels so solid, like that. It's actually somebody's thinking about an exact plan and has thought about that through. That's this amazing thing about Talon, is that he thought this through instead of just going, "We're going to see how you feel here, or we're going to see how you feel there." It's like, no, there's a plan.
Yeah, well, it's like anything in life, right? You make a list, you set goals. If you actually write it down and make it tangible,
Yep.
and you may need to be fluid and
Of
adjust.
course, you
but
have to adjust, but
you've got that thing kind of locked in. So who else, aside from Jet, who else is kind of your main competition in your age bracket and that'll kind of move up with you?
On 85s, I raced Matthew Blanc, and on Super Minis too. He's on Star now.
Okay.
He had an injury at the Phoenix Futures
race.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like a big quad those guys were doing, and Styles even crashed off of it too.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, Jet actually was the only one who escaped it. He cased it really bad and got lucky and didn't hurt himself. But yeah, both those guys, I don't know why they're doing that. It wasn't worth it. It was faster to go just like 3-2 and make sure you do the corner good, because you quad all the way into the corner practically.
Yeah, but they did the quad, bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't see you do it.
What about on a global level, like Everts? Who's the really fast guys over there?
Yeah, well, when I went over to Europe, Everts won Madley. So
He did, yeah.
Yeah, so he would be the top guy on Europe, the same age group with me. So
Okay.
my dad raced his dad, and I raced him.
It's funny,
so,
huh?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that next
cool.
wave,
might see him at the Nation someday. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
Belgium and America.
Yeah.
That would be cool to see.
Um,
I like where your head's at.
yeah.
Planning on donations already. I like that.
I like it. What is it you love about motocross?
Racing. That's all I've been into. I mean, the adrenaline and just being in the moment. And I remember even at Monster Cup when I was passing Vries down the whoops and I got really high on the rear wheel. I mean, crowd went crazy, and like just that little bit is just like, wow, you can't get that anywhere else. You just can't.
No, definitely not at 16 anyway, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty, or however old, what were you,
Well,
15?
Yeah, I was 16.
But that's almost, you just said for a kid, but a close comparison would be maybe in baseball when the guy hits a home run, or in football when the guy's catching the winning touchdown, the crowd, when you're at that age, you're like, that's pretty cool. They love me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. No, there's not much like it.
It's your moment. I mean, I remember that when at Anaheim, was it Anaheim? Anyway, no, Phoenix. I was battling with Fonseca for the lead, and I remember the crowd just going nuts, and I was like, got me all like jonesed up. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get him, and anyway, I didn't get him.
Cool story, Gio.
Yeah, I got him.
No, I actually made a stupid mistake. I should have taken his line away, but he cut underneath me. He was on the 4-stroke, and he tripled out and then won the race. I just wasn't smart enough.
Do you remember, like, obviously you probably signed some autographs already, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember kind of your first times you were signing autographs? Do you think it was weird?
I think the first time was they had like a little Dunlap signing for all the kids on Dunlap Elite, which is just all mini bikes at one of the Supercrosses. And that was like the first real time I was signing. I think Styles and all those other top amateurs were there signing. So that was like the first time I got that experience. I didn't have a signature at all. It's just like, I remember Styles 2 was just SR and then his number.
Yeah.
So like half of us didn't even know.
Was it one of those where the first person who got your signature, if they came back around and you saw the last signature, they're like, is that the same guy?
Exactly.
I remember my first signature, first signing, my signature changed so much, I didn't recognize my original.
Yeah. For the longest time,
'Cause I got lazy
I would
and
sign
lazy.
Ping and then whatever my number was. And then that changed to like my full name with my middle initial. Like it changed.
Yeah.
It kept changing.
Yeah, mine was Grant Langston in cursive, and now if you read it, it's a scribble.
You get auto pen. You just have auto pen signatures.
It'd be funny for a guy to show up with a rubber stamp. Yeah.
Well, the auto pen is
Great hanging out with
have you seen that? Auto pen
That
is what,
seems very personal.
like the president's.
Just throwing them.
This-
You're not even handing it to him. Here you go. There you go.
The president signs with auto pen sometimes, and it's just a machine that signs his signature. It's not a stamp. It's called auto pen.
What?
Yeah, have you ever heard of auto pen?
Auto pen?
Yeah,
What
it's
do
an
you
auto
mean?
pen. It's a signature of the president, and sometimes the documents are signed by auto pen.
Can we
Well, what is
sue
it?
AutoPen if they?
It's
if they
a
mess something
machine that signs his name with a pen. His exact signature.
All right. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you should get one of those. Look into
I
it.
need one of those.
You
man.
can just sit back and just be sipping on like a water bottle. And how you doing? Yeah, it's coming. There you go. There you go. Just
up? Hold on, let me
Just
hit
a
enter.
few pictures every now and then.
Yeah,
with
yeah.
The fans, and then
what other interests do you have? Do you have other sports you like?
mountain biking, I guess.
Yeah.
I watch, and I still do watch BMX races on YouTube every now and then. I don't know who's who, but I still pay attention to it and kind of watch it.
Okay.
It's just cool to see what those guys do. I mean,
It's great action because it's
Yeah.
just short, fast,
it's just
and
a
tense.
sprint.
Yeah. I remember because I raced some BMX when I was younger, and you'd get to the finish and you'd taste blood in your lungs because you breathe.
Oh,
You breathe so hard, you
Yeah.
know. It's only 20 seconds or whatever it is.
It's just a
but-
full-blown sprint, and you're just like, ugh. I actually, when I was little, like, we had to get one of the things to make my lungs bigger because I was breathing so much I would actually just lose my breath and I couldn't breathe anymore after the race. I'd just be
like a
stuck
puffer,
there.
like an inhaler.
Yeah, or no, just one of those things that you get the ball and you try and keep it in the zone.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. It's like
because I used to, and I think, I don't know, probably Monster wasn't the great thing, or Red Bull. We'd have a little bit of Red Bull right before I'd go, and then I'd be like super psyched up, and then just crash and can't breathe.
Oh man.
I used to have half a Red Bull before I raced sometimes.
I remember you drinking Red Bulls in 01. I was like, he's really drinking this shit.
I would have half a can before each moto.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think then it just sort of got in my head where that's my routine. And people are like, you drink that stuff? I'm like, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, it's my sponsor. Any other athletes that you like that you keep an eye on other sports? Or not really?
We watch a lot of boxing and fighting, so
Grandpa's into that.
Grandpa's into that. You know, Tyson still watches some of it at home, so I'll just be paying attention. But we watched a lot of Mike Tyson and Floyd Mayweather.
Do you see Mike
That was some
Tyson's
good stuff.
training to maybe come back? Did you see
Really?
this? Yeah,
No,
it
I
showed him
didn't
hitting
see
the bag the other day. And dude, he's savage.
Was that recent? I thought
That's
that was just
recent.
an older video.
No, that's now.
I would
Actually, I
I
did
would
think I
never
see
stand
that.
in a ring with that guy.
Nope.
He's got to be one of the gnarliest punches.
Well, how long? All his fights were knockouts for a point.
Yeah.
He's like,
There was only like one or
Well,
two.
Holyfield,
yeah.
right? Like when he tried to eat his ear.
Holyfield was sponsorship. No, yeah.
What about motocross? What riders do you look up to? What riders do you study?
both Ryans, both Filippo and Dungey. Those are like the two that I've kind of just watched, studied, took in both of some of their riding styles and put it in my own.
Yeah.
Especially Villopoto. I mean, his suspension setting is exactly what I run really much. Like
Really? You steer with the rear a lot?
Oh, that's all I do. I full on rear and steer, super low and slow in the rear, like
Is that right?
this, choppered out.
Huh.
Yeah, and suspension guys aren't really fans sometimes. That we were out testing for the 125.
Yeah.
And we're going through different shocks and forks and stuff, and then he goes into the truck and comes out with a big grin on his face. He's like, "This is a Vohland special shock." I don't know if he was serious or not, or if he was making a joke, thinking it was just going to be dog shit. And I went out, and it was the best thing I've ever rode. It was the best suspension setting I've ever rode.
Oh yeah.
2 seconds off my time. It
Wow.
was so good on flat corners, and I could just hold it on, and I just knew where it was going. It was the best suspension setting I've ever come up with. And
Who does your suspension?
George at WP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they really did give you a Vohland special.
Yeah, literally.
he really
I don't know
got
if
it.
he was joking or not, but it was so good.
Huh.
Yeah.
So any riders that currently are racing? Or
Um,
no, just retired guys.
I mean, Roxon's always a great one. He's so perfect. Him and Sexton are
Yeah.
such a
pretty
perfect
flawless
riding
form.
style.
Chase
yeah.
is cool to watch.
Yeah.
Huh.
Do you get a ride with much of the pros? I mean,
out
obviously
of-
you're a little
Yeah.
off the beaten path, but I know you come down.
For the futures, we ride the TLD test track. It's like really the only track we were riding. And, you know, the TLD guys are out there. But sometimes Anderson and Osborne are out there riding.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'll get to ride with those guys. I try and stay out of their way, though, because I'm not really doing motos. They're doing 20s. And
yeah.
Did you do some futures races?
yeah, this year I did the first two. We're
Okay.
planning on doing Oakland, but when we had the plan to go over to Europe, we decided, okay, we have to do some outdoor right now because we don't have much time to get ready for this. And
Yeah.
so I did the first two, and I won. I think I won every moto I rode in.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Who now? You said some of those guys are already riding 250s, though. So you'd be like a schoolboy class, or what were you?
Yeah, Schoolboy 1 and 125. I think BC.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
So take us through this. You went over and did a 125. They call it EMX, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know what the
European.
Okay.
Because it's a European championship is
Yeah,
what it is.
yeah.
It's a stepping stone.
And
I did one of those rounds many years ago before I went to GPs.
And do they run the same weekends as the GPs also? Okay.
Yep,
So
same
you're on the
track.
same track and everything. Okay.
They don't even prep the track for Sunday.
Which I think is a good thing. I think maybe I don't know if we talked about this on the air before or off camera, but we were mentioning that is one of the things I think could help here. You know, going from Loretta's to Anaheim 1 is still a big jump.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when these guys are at the races and the teams get to see them firsthand, not reading a piece of paper to see the results, they get to see guys. Because a guy might get fifth on paper but had terrible starts and went down one moto. But if you're there, they go, you know, that guy's got something special. So I like that idea of the guys being, I think there's more pressure, of course, but you're going to be turning pro anyway, so you got to handle it. But putting them out there in the limelight.
Yeah. Well, and you know, they say here they just don't, because we condensed everything to one day to make it more convenient for the teams, so it's hard for them to fit a whole other class. The 125 All-Stars thing is good.
Yeah.
It's a start. It's a start, you know. And I hope we can get some nationals in and they keep that in there, because I'd love to see you out there doing some of those.
Yeah, if they're there, we're doing them this year. So if they have them, we'll be there.
How did you feel like you were perceived in Europe, that little bit that you did there? I mean, how do you think you were welcomed there?
I mean, you never really know what people are saying behind your back because they're saying it behind your back, but I assume good. Hopefully it's good. I mean, the result wasn't the greatest, so I know there's some of the teenage kids that race me, and they'll be talking crap because they're like, oh, we beat you at Madley, we're better than you, and because I was the only one there with a Red Bull helmet. It's a rare thing over there.
Oh, is that right?
I feel like, yeah, I was the only one that was like full Red Bull rider, and it was like factory team. I was sitting in the factory pits with like a pop-up tent and our pickup truck, so we were definitely getting like,
Then they're definitely talking shit behind your back.
yeah, for sure.
So when you guys made this plan to go over, I know that there was a couple hiccups with fuel before you went over and testing, and the bike was maybe not quite what you hoped. Some issues over there with that, but really you just got kind of hosed because it rained the whole time.
Yeah,
Take us through that whole trip. Like,
to be honest, we do as much mud riding as we can in the winter. I mean, we'll go out to the Prairie City because the park stays open if it rains or not. So we'll go ride. I mean, it's a little black track. It's nothing national level, but it's still mud. So we try and get as much mud as we can. But yeah, as soon as we got there,
which is, by the way, really smart. I never did that, and I sucked in the mud my whole career because I never went and rode it.
you have to be good at everything.
Yeah, you really do. So it's cool to hear.
Yeah. So as soon as we got there, we landed in Germany before we flew over. It was already raining. So we landed in Germany and then had like an hour connection flight to Belgium. Landed there, and mechanic flew a little bit early to get the truck and all the stuff that was shipped over from Austria, or they shipped it to Austria, and so he was driving it from Austria to Belgium.
Okay.
Whereas where the shop is there at Lommel. And we got there, and we were doing a little bit of riding, but it was just raining, and I think, we didn't have the parts for the bike yet, so the bike wasn't done yet. The bike wasn't finished yet. It wasn't all shipped, so we had the 250 two-stroke that they just let us had from Austria just to ride and practice, so we didn't beat the 125.
Yeah.
So we went and rode that down some track in France. It was just super hard-packed and brutal. I mean,
So was it muddy? I mean, it's
oh yeah, no, it was always raining. It's never stopped raining.
Well, I thought maybe you go to
never
a
got
sand track or something at least.
Even when we went to the sand track, it was still wet sand with ruts. The whole track's a rut at the point. It was so deep.
Yeah, I miss those days.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, sure you do.
I miss suffering.
I like the sand. The sand's actually really good training, and even though the track's rough, it's still a good track.
Did you ride some sand tracks like that?
Yeah, we rode. It was Grove and Harsh, same track that Anderson and Osborne were practicing before.
Deep
Netherlands.
sand?
Super deep, just endless, pretty much.
Deepest sand you've ever ridden?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We actually.
Because you guys have the wash, the river bottom up there, but it's
nothing like that.
it's
Nothing
like
at
sugar
all.
sand, right? So you just keep sinking.
It just goes forever. I think even being Americans are jetting. They're like, no, you can't run that. And like first day we blew up a bike.
Oh, you did. Yeah.
So they were right on that part.
Yeah, they were definitely right.
Hey, remember that thing about the jetting?
Yeah.
You guys were
We're running like a 195 main jet, almost a 200. So for the sand, because you'll just straight eat the bikes, and the tracks are so brutal on your body and the bikes over there. Like there's all this talk about Euros being faster than Americans, but I could obviously see why they're faster because their tracks are gnarlier and also they have 22 round series of
and they
gnarly
ride on
tracks.
multiple continents.
Oh,
To
yeah,
me, the diversity
everywhere.
of their tracks, I think, is what helps those guys. I mean, you look at even like Cairoli.
Yeah.
He lives basically in Lommel. I mean, he has an Italian living in Lommel, Belgium, because he can ride all those variety of tracks within a couple-hour drive. You can have hard-packed French tracks. I said it before, but, everything right there. And I think our outdoor tracks here have gotten a little too one-dimensional.
Yeah.
They're prepped the same by the same people. They've brought in sand. They're mixing this. And so tracks that used to be more hard-packed are now softer, and tracks that were softer seem to be harder packed,
Yeah.
Well, I posted a picture from 01 of Hangtown, and
That place was terrible.
terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I don't know what moto it is, but it's dust. You just see anywhere there's a guy, there's dust.
Remember when I used
It's
to go
hard
up
as a
off the
rock,
start, would
blue
go up the hill
groove.
and just have those 180s. I'm like, who laid out this track?
Blue Groove. It was actually Blue Groove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember.
Don't have that anymore.
I remember going to the Hangtown and watching it. It's just a dust bowl, hard packed. I mean,
but
you see the blue groove, right?
But now it's
now
like
it's deep, muddy ruts everywhere. Like even regular
different.
practice days at Hangtown never get like that.
oh, is that right?
Yeah, I ride Hangtown all the time. But
Is it hard pack
sure.
on a local day?
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's that kind
It
of
gets
day.
like a few ruts, but I mean, when it rains, it's like how the National gets its ruts everywhere when
Yeah.
it rains. But they really don't open much after it rains.
Yeah. That's interesting. So, how did the race go?
Could have definitely went better, I would say. But
Are you a good
we
mud
had-
rider? Do you? I mean,
yeah, I would say I was feeling really confident going in. I was like, I'm strong. I've best shape I've been in my whole career. I feel like I'm pretty ready, but the odds were just not with us that day.
Yeah.
Now, but I know you said it didn't go well, but how, did they have time qualifying?
Yeah, they had time qualifying.
How was your pace?
Yeah, no, I had good speed. I was, I think, fourth, because there's so many kids that they had two different qualifying sessions. So I was fourth in mine, which gave me, I think, seventh pick overall. But my speed was there. I mean, really, the mud there is the heaviest mud I've ever ridden. The bike was so
Packs up.
heavy.
Yeah.
It was like, because it's just grass
Sticky,
when they started
yeah.
it. They didn't
And that
change
dirt
it. Yeah,
there is kind of like just clumps.
yeah, it was super clumpy and heavy. So the first lap was everyone's best lap.
Sure.
So,
Oh, is that right?
yeah, and I was out there trying the whole time, so I might have wasted half my energy just trying to get the good time at the end of the practice when it didn't even matter because everyone's
Yeah.
bike's heavy. So
You'd be better off pulling in and demudding and then going back
I
out.
did that once, but
Yeah.
it was still just it didn't
Packed so
matter.
quickly.
Yeah,
Packed up,
it
yeah.
didn't matter. So that was one mistake, was probably trying too hard in qualifying. I should have just did my one lap and kind of checked a couple other lines out for the
Yeah.
race.
I learned that too,
Yeah.
especially when I do the Dutch Championship. They would often groom the track, so we'd come. I'm like, you could lay asphalt. This is beautiful. And 125s, often we would go out first. And I learned very quickly, when you get on that track, when the guy lets you go, you just take off like a bat out of hell and don't let off, because your very first time lap was always your best. Because then the track would just get blown out, and it would never come back. So we would do one lap. My dad like, you can go quicker than that. I'm like, nope, not going to happen. Not today.
So keep going. How did the
Yeah.
motos go?
Yeah,
2 motos?
2 motos, yep. One on Saturday and one on Sunday. And longest races I've ever raced. They're 30 plus 2.
Oh, really?
I think,
So
I believe, yeah.
basically a GP.
Yeah, basically a GP. I mean, that's
Similar schedule and everything.
that's great for bringing kids up into the pros. I mean,
Yeah.
they have so much experience. Practically, once you can do the 125 EMX, you're pro at that point. All those kids were good, and all of them fought like a pro. Like, you come up and they don't give you any extra room. They fight for every position, no matter where you're at.
Well, also too, one thing that I realized over there is, in France, there's a couple superstars. In Belgium, there's a couple superstars. In Italy, and they've all got support and backing,
Yeah.
and it's that pyramid system. But I feel like there's a lot of competition and depth because of that. Because they have strong domestic series, when they bring it to that European level, you're like, man, there's some guys you've never heard of that are smoking fire, maybe even Eastern European or something.
I think we were definitely a little bit surprised, too, with how good their bikes were over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying like carbon fiber stuff,
kid on
handmade.
the kid on the Yamaha had a whole carbon fiber subframe with the airbox,
Built
made
in,
within
yeah.
the subframe. All carbon fiber. Every kid had a carbon fiber tank on his bike. Everything factory. Handmade calipers, like machined calipers for the brakes. You can't even make those. Like, they're not in production. You can't buy those. Everything's handmade, and they have two of them because you have two race bikes over there. So you can have two bikes, one sitting and staging, and one that you're racing on. So every kid has two completely factory race bikes, and there's so many different secondary teams. There's a team from Spain, team from Italy, team from Belgium. So everyone's on a factory bike.
Yeah. Wow.
And
God, that would be cool I want to go watch one of these.
Yeah.
dude, the bikes are ridiculous. I mean, they sound gnarly too.
Oh, I'm sure.
That was one thing I missed coming to the States, was not the factory bikes. The
Yeah.
production level just kind of took away a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I mean, our race bikes are pretty, but you got to look closer at the details. Those, it's like,
Yeah.
Boom.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah.
so Everett's ended up winning.
Yeah.
What were his moto scores? Liam Everett's.
He won both motos. I'm
He
pretty
did?
Sure. He's a little bit smaller kid, and mud he hole shotted. I'm pretty sure he hole shotted both motos. And how deep and heavy that mud was, if you hole shotted, you had like 99% chance of winning.
And like you
the
said,
damn race.
if you're a lighter,
lighter
it's
kid,
going to really help.
he just floated across the mud. And I mean, I could have beat him. I remember we're at Grovenhars, and he was even on his 250F, and I was on my 125 in the sand. We're the same speed. So
Yeah.
So at least he's got speed. And
I know I could beat him if it was, if we didn't have so much stuff against us and just not having. I feel like we needed a little bit more time to get the bike dialed in because of how much raining it was and how much little bit of riding we had. So I feel like we definitely could have had a little bit more time on the bike before getting that dialed in, and even just some of the knick-knacky stuff that could just keep going on forever about that.
Yeah.
It is tough, even if you took your bars and your suspension and your stuff, when you go somewhere else and get on a different bike,
It's different.
Yeah,
it's just a little different. Yeah.
different area. You're driving. You don't.
Absolutely. You're on the wrong side of the road.
Yep.
Food sucks. Did you get along on the food okay?
Yeah, the food was pretty good in Belgium, actually. We were living in this apartment right above I guess it's the local restaurant there that all the top guys eat at. It's like the best restaurant. And they actually had an apartment that was just brand new. They made it or whatever. And they're like, oh, you guys could stay there. So we got it for pretty cheap. And that's where we were staying while we were there.
Okay.
Ping, didn't you learn not to say things over in Europe suck?
Oh, he didn't say that.
He said food sucked.
I'm not riding for a European company anymore.
You're like, food sucked, rooms are small, smoky, diesel.
Did you enjoy the secondhand smoke?
I don't really think I got it that much.
Oh, good. Good for you.
Yeah.
Then you went at the pubs too often. That's where I went wrong.
So, what were your moto scores over there?
I think it was like 11. Well, the first moto I was actually running really good. I got a pretty decent start. The first mistake that I had, because in mud motos, you never want to throw off your goggles.
No.
But the mud was so sticky that it didn't matter. My roll-offs it'd just go straight under the mud. My whole helmet was packed with mud up to my visor. So I had to throw the goggles. I actually threw them too late. It was the first lap, but I lost so much time on the first lap. I should have thrown them by like the fourth corner because they're just caked.
Wow.
And I ended up learning that those guys, they're run like 27 or 32 or whatever amount of laminates.
Yeah.
With roll-offs even underneath them, some of the kids.
Jeez.
So we did that for the next moto, so that was good. We figured out that problem, but I was riding good. I ended up picking off some guys, and I came from, I think it was 7th place start. I went down on like just a small little tip over in a rut, so I lost a couple positions, and I was about 10th, 8th, 7th. I just kept picking off guys until I got to 4th, and I was in 4th riding, and I had no goggles, so there ended up being a lapper that I came up on, and the track's pretty one-lined because it's just a mud race, and I was just trying to get by him, and there's another lapper that went down, and this kid that I was battling with for 4th, or fifth, or I think it was fourth. I'm pretty sure it was fourth. I was in fourth, so I was battling with the dude for fourth. I just like passed him the lap before, so he wasn't far behind me, but I got cut up on this lapper. And I couldn't get by this kid, and I'm dodging his roost because I have no goggles. Ended up getting hit with a rock right in the side of my face. Like I seen something come, and I turned my head, and it hit me right in the face. If I was looking straight, it could have hit me in the eye. So I got lucky. And so I ended up being stuck behind this lapper. I was trying to get past him, and it comes down after this big table, and it turns right, and then it goes up, turns left, and drops back down. But as we're going up, it's like this little ski jump. And there's another lapper that's just down on the backside, and it was like right in the main line. So that kid went left, and the kid that I was battling with kind of went outside and chopped me to the right. So I had to go.
And he's a lapper?
The dude that I was battling with chopped me and going to the right. So I was battling with him, trying to block him, and the lapper went to the left, and I had nowhere to go, and I was just pretty much right behind the lapper as he backsided this thing, and it just covered my whole face with mud. So then my whole face was covered with mud, and I kept going because I didn't want to lose my spot, so I was holding it wide open, and while trying to clear mud off my face, is like my whole helmet's packed, and I ended up like going down in the wet grass, so it took me forever to pick up my bike. I had to pick it up like 3 times, so I was shot with energy, and then went down a couple more times. I ended up finishing 11th the first moto. Second moto, the next day I was like completely pulled my groin. I could barely walk the next day. So it was just completely shot. I've never been so tired in my life after a moto because I just picked up my bike at least 5 times in like wet grass, and it was super heavy. It was twice the weight. So I was a little bit tired next day, and next thing, just put it behind me.
Oh, so you guys do one moto each day?
Yeah, one moto each day. Practice and so qualifying practice each on one day, and then one race that day, and then the next day is one race in the morning, or like the first moto, or after the women, I think, and then they do the pro motos after that.
Okay.
And they don't prep the track, so the track's still super rough. Same lines as yesterday. They just prep the start for the start. And I did my sight lap. Actually, they give you like 5 minutes to do, so you can do like 3 laps, but I just did like a couple laps, and then even over there they change tires before the gate drops, so you have a fresh tire for the gate. They're great. So it's another thing we didn't know. We had to learn. So mechanic had to figure that out, and just some couple stuff that was adding on to us, so I wasn't feeling 100%, but I just put it behind me and just tried giving it everything I had, and went out, and I was riding pretty good again. I think I was about 7th. No, I was probably about like 5th or 6th, 7th to 5th. Went down on like the first lap going onto the start, because it rolls down onto the start. Front wheel just went straight over the rut and plopped over. So then, that killed me. If I
still
didn't
muddy?
Do that, still. By the time the pros rode, actually, it was really good, but we still had a muddy track, so that killed me, and I was pretty much shot. And I gave it everything I had, and I was battling, still passing kids, and I think I got up to like 17th, but I was by halfway through the moto. I was just there's no more going forward. I hit the wall. I was done.
Just a tough experience, but you learned something.
Definitely learned.
Well, I think they got us at the designations at Redbud. Kind of the same thing. Like our guys didn't know about
the tire.
Yeah, their guys come in with either the tires wrapped.
Yeah, or they carry the bike onto the gate.
Yeah. So there's a lot of those little things that.
You just don't know until you're there, and you have to experience it. For sure, the next round, if with this COVID thing, we had to come back. If the next round, we would have been definitely ready.
A lot more prepared.
Yeah, way more prepared.
Do you think? Will you maybe go back and do some if they happen again, or
it's not guaranteed?
But you're keeping that open.
Yeah, keeping it open. A lot of the races now is getting pretty short, and there's going to be a lot of races here, and everyone's going to be.
The whole schedule's getting compressed.
Yeah, it's super compressed now. So we're not sure if maybe even budget now too. So we'll see. If we get the opportunity, we'll probably go. But if not, we'll just stay here and do our thing.
What's your favorite track?
That's a hard one. Underground MX. They have Spring-A-Ding National
Texas?
there.
Yeah.
Texas. That track's.
I've heard that. Isn't that
so fun?
Who's the old rider that?
Mashburn used to own it.
I'm thinking of someone else that trained out there. Gosh dang it.
Whereabouts in Texas?
I'm not really sure.
Who's the guy who was dating the girl from Teen Moms or something?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yes. And now I'm drawing a blank on his name. Regal?
Kyle Regal. Yeah. Did he used to either live there or train there or something.
Nice pull there, GL. That was a nice pull.
Yeah, that was a good pull. Anyway,
I've been
it's
told that
irrelevant.
once or twice.
Yeah, no, that track, the dirt there is
Pretty sweet.
Is amazing. I mean, they could have a national there. Definitely, I feel like
trying to think.
the dirt there and how long Freestone's been going. Freestone's kind of gotten that hard pack now, where it's getting pretty hard packed, and the prep job is just. It's just, I feel like Underground's definitely more of a national level track right now. It's long, it's really long, and they have even more land, and like they cut half the back section off because it's just too long. They can't even get
Is
through
that
all the
right?
motos. Yeah, so they could add so
Could
much
they park a lot of semis in there? Maybe they'll have a national there. They're probably looking for places to go.
They should have a national there. It'd be a sick national.
I mean, a place like Texas should have a national.
Yeah.
The problem is you got to do it early.
Yeah.
You got to do it early.
Yeah,
Let's make it round 1 or 2.
It's so damn hot there.
it's so hot. Yeah.
Go Florida, Texas, or Texas, Florida.
Take us through like a typical week, a typical day at home for you, and then a typical week, how that goes. Like somebody, I'm just trying to get an idea of what it's like for a young amateur kid now.
Well, usually for me, I mean, without some of the tracks being shut down right now, but if everything's open and just my normal, I mean, we ride about 5 or 6 times a week. We almost ride every day. I think usually we always take Mondays off, but we try and ride every single day. For me, it's not about the hard training and grinding on the bicycles or in the gym that much. I mean, I do some squats and bench presses and stuff like that, but mainly just hours on the bike and on 2 wheels. And that's electric bikes come in. That's helped out a lot too. We'll even go 3 times a day if we can. So
Wow.
just putting in hours on the bike just to get good technical skills and just, I'm young and my body can recover, so I can take the beating of riding and the intensity. So we're just focusing on that and just trying to put as much hours on the bike and get as good technical and skills wise.
And it's smart.
Are you, when you go ride, do you still enjoy it? Or are you kind of like, all right, I guess I don't really want to go, but let's go?
Some days, I mean, especially if we're riding the same track, like I've ridden East Street, our local track up in NorCal and Riverfront so many times, and the tracks are so smooth there. You don't get much out of it, but I mean, it doesn't matter what track you're on. As long as you're trying hard, you can do long enough moto. You can get the same effort as riding a track in Europe.
Yeah.
It just depends how much time and effort you put into it.
I guess that's probably one of the nice things, to be able to come down here, ride some tracks, go home, ride your local tracks again, at least be able to mix it up somewhat. I think that's what I think helps also, like the pros that split between California and Florida. I know from my experience, if you're in Florida all the time, you get burnt out because you ride at your compound and your Supercross track and your motocross track, and eventually you're like, I just need something different. And you come to California, you're like, yeah, and then a few months in California, you're like, get me out of here, So I think it helps just break that up too, and it also keeps things more relevant, because if you ride the same place, you get stale.
Yeah. Do you guys race a lot? Do you always, I mean, typically, I get right now it's weird, but if there's races going on, are you guys always looking for races?
Yeah, we race whatever race we can race. If it's local race, big national, except we try and stay central on the West Coast.
Yeah.
We don't go too far
Yeah.
on the East Coast, except Tennessee for Rettas. So that's really the farthest we go. And
You don't even do what's it, the mini Winter Olympics?
No, we don't do. We have never done it. I've never gone there.
Interesting.
I have one story where we did go to Daytona for that race.
Yeah.
The Ricky Carmichael race. So we did that once on 65s, but that didn't end very well. But
no?
the story was I was riding in practice and I went down like over the finish line jump and kind of hit my side really bad and it was like really aching. But they like Daytona's got their own medical and things, so the guys just jumped on me, and then I was over at their little hospital there at the track, and then you got to go to the hospital.
The
this could be
case.
this could be fatal. You could die. And then we went to the hospital, checked me out, and then they're like, oh, you got to stay here overnight for evaluation. And we're like at the point where like my dad's like, oh, it's against our religion to stay here. We're got to get the hell out of here. Our race.
I like that one. It's against our.
Yeah, so
Bad religion.
We ended up getting out of the hospital. I mean, they had IVs in both my arms, so I was like drugged up pretty much. And we got to the track, and I like literally was in the gown, got my gear on because my gate was about like my first heat race is about to go off, and I'm like literally just got my gear on. I feel super drowsy, and we're getting on the line, and they call my dad up on the speaker, Talon Vohland, come to the tower. And then they're like, yeah,
they gave the news.
Yeah, you can't race.
Is that right?
You were just at the hospital. So we drove all the way to Florida with my dad, me, my uncle, and my grandpa. So 4 of us in like a little white pickup Chevy, a little white van, a little Chevy van. So not a lot of room. So we drove all the way to Florida from California.
It's like 4 days or something, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. And
That's frustrating.
Next day we went riding some sand track, and I was fine. We rode for like 2 days there. And then we went to Texas, which is the next one in Freestone that everyone hits on the way back. Actually, no, there's 2 in Texas. There's Oak Hill. There was Oak Hill and then Freestone. So we hit Oak Hill, and I won a couple classes there, and it was like pretty muddy. It just rained, and it was a cool experience. That track's a really good track too. And
a lot of people say they like it.
Yeah, Oak Hill
I've never
and
been there, but
Underground
I've
are
been
pretty
there.
similar.
You didn't race there?
Oak Hill? No.
It's a really cool track. It was another one.
Lake Whitney was the spot when
That's
I was.
right.
Yeah, so then we went to Freestone, and I ended up winning everything. And I won 265 classes and like the 2 main ones, and then we rode even the 85. And I mean, I'm not a competitor in the 85 class, but I ended up winning that too. So then I won 3 titles there, and it was like everyone completely forgot about Daytona. Like, there's no way. Like everyone remembers you from your
I
last
was going to
race.
say.
Wait, I'm going to ask a stupid question. You raced the 85 class on the 65?
No, on
Oh,
an
you
85.
had an
We
85.
had both.
Okay,
We
I
had
didn't know
both.
if you could do that or what.
Probably could, but AMA might not be too happy about it.
Piss some parents
Yeah,
off. when
if you
beat
won
them.
one in the 65 class, you'd get disqualified for riding a bike too slow.
Yeah. That's how they would do it. They'd protest you for whatever they could.
Yeah.
The wheel size wasn't correct.
So you typically don't do a whole lot of cycling, a lot of weightlifting, a lot of other crap. You just
Not
focus
a
on the
lot.
bike.
No, we just do our minimums. So my dad sent me a little bit of gold to get to for the 250 and where I need to be. So we've been working on that, but really just hours on the bike on 2 wheels. I do some mountain bike riding when I feel like I want to change it up.
Yeah.
Have a lake right by my house.
That's pretty fun, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Nothing serious.
we're talking about you've gone through this growth spurt. You've got this plan, hopefully to go pro the next 12, 18 months maybe. Is there something, are you going to maybe change your training? Obviously, I know your dad had mentioned that, you might need to build a little more mass or something. Do you see yourself maybe transitioning a little more weights or working with maybe somebody on that, or what are you thinking?
Well, I think for sure, I mean, when you go out to the regular practice tracks, I mean, you have to have someone chasing you, or you have someone to chase, or else you'll just get too bored and you won't be focused. You won't be done with what you need to be done with. So to get that done, you need someone to ride with, I feel like. So we'll either hook up with our local pro or we'll find someone down here. But I think for sure once it's time to go pro, we're going to be down here riding Glen Helen, riding Stopwatch Nationals or whatever, riding with all those guys.
Join in, man.
Yeah.
Join in. Fit in what you get in.
Is there anything your dad does that drives you crazy?
Man, sometimes you're just out at the track and he tells you how to do something, but he hasn't ridden that much in a long time. So I'm like, dude, you don't even know how to ride anymore. Like, I'm the one riding the bike. Like, I don't think this could be done. And then eventually it gets me to the point where I'm so pissed off and I do it anyways, and I'll do it again, and I'll come in, I won't say anything, and he'd be like, oh, well, you could have done a little bit better right here. And I just started the bike, go do it again as fast as I could, and then come in, and then he'd point out another thing. We'd just practically work the corner without even saying anything. He'd just tell me, and I would just be pissed off, and I'd just be like, I'll just do it until it's exactly done how he wants it to be done.
Well, look, the unfortunate part for you is he's probably going to be right.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the time.
No, even sometimes it's just something that's not even irrelevant. It's like we know it's slower. He's like, yeah, it's definitely slower, but just do it anyways.
Yeah.
So I'll do it, but I was like, this is so pointless. Like this line's not even irrelevant, but we do it anyways because you never know. Sometimes there's those lines where you're like, that's so stupid, and it ends up working. And you're making a pass. So
Yeah.
I think it'll all work out in the end.
Yeah, and he's seen so many different scenarios and things, like you're in a race, 2 guys go into that normal line you've been taking and they fall, and now you got to switch to this line.
Yeah, we definitely practice on working every line on the track, outside, inside. If you're bored, go hit every other line.
Well, you said you have always liked the Ryans, but if you watch Villapoto's career, how many times, even he didn't get a great start, he would just pin it the long way around. And sometimes it worked. Most of the times it worked. Sometimes it didn't, but he would try it almost anywhere. And if it didn't work, he'd tuck it behind the guys, and then he would find that section, just blow around people. And I always liked it. Just carry a ton of speed and just pin it.
We watch a lot of 125 Stewart because I'm on 125 right now, so we try and compare to him as much as possible, but you can't really.
He was special.
Yeah, it's like, well, he was scrubbing and stuff before anyone was even doing that. So that's like now you can see a lot of the kids are doing that now, so that's kind of like the average or the standard top dudes are starting to scrub.
But his corner speed
was
the way
unbelievable.
he would just make a line work, find traction like
on a 2-stroke compared to the 4-strokes.
it was amazing.
Hey, you also see kids nowadays scrubbing, and they don't need to scrub in certain
Well,
situations.
they spend
They're
so
just-
much effort trying to scrub. You went the same height.
Yeah.
You just look like you're trying to hump your
So
side
you,
case.
you just see that they're trying to scrub every single thing, and it's like, bro, that one you shouldn't be scrubbing on.
They scrub so hard they land and they twitch and almost crash, and then you're like, oh, he'll learn from that. No, next lap, same thing. So I'm like,
Well, the other thing I noticed that drives me crazy, and I haven't noticed this in you. I'm not picking on you, but a lot of guys today seat bounce stuff that doesn't need to be seat bounced.
Yeah.
They're just lazy. They stay seated until a jump stands them up. You know what I mean? But anytime you hit a jump sitting down,
you're getting
you're going to
unnecessary
go
height.
higher than you need to
I
go.
feel like that's a thing with all the whips everyone's doing now. Like sometimes you have to sit down to do a whip, so everyone's just kind of getting used to sitting up the face and to throw a whip. But then you're riding normal and you just do it. There's like a lot of the kids, oppos, big whips and stuff like that, hitting ramps. And my dad wants me to get like knack-knacks down and stuff and do these little tricks just so I could have them under my belt. But I'm like, yeah, I'd rather work a corner all day than do that. I would rather get faster than being able to throw whips. But you got to be able to do it all, I guess, is what he says.
I'll ask him how his knack-knack's coming along.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was one thing, too. He wanted me to hit ramps. I'm like, did you ever hit a ramp when you race? And he's like, no. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's a little bit different than you think just hitting a ramp. I'm sure there's some other stuff that we don't know about.
Well, they're pretty fun. I don't know if there's any application to racing, but
yeah.
Not
You know,
unless,
it looks-
not
you know
unless
what-
you're Pastrana.
you know what looks
Yeah.
really cool over the finish line? The candles going off of the things.
Yeah, exactly. That's
I
what
don't
said.
care what you do.
It doesn't matter what
No,
you
no,
do
no.
on the track. If you win the race, you're still the baddest dude.
That's
so.
it. That's
Give it the Wardy triple fist
Yeah,
bump.
Wardy triple pumped it. It was still cool.
Also, the Johnson, 2-hand up.
I used to think that was so sick.
That was rad, dude.
I just I've always loved that. Just
Yeah.
the no hand up with the finger in there.
Yeah.
I should bring that back. Just
Bring it back, dude.
just that's it.
Max, we command you. Just bring it back, dude. Just straight,
When you cross the finish line at the Nations and America wins, we want you like this.
this like that.
I'll remember that.
Shooting guns.
Remember it.
I'll get it.
Yeah.
You raced the Red Bull Straight Rhythm last year. Had really good qualifying times, like one of the fastest in the whole group. And frankly, it looked like you had that whole thing pretty well covered.
Yeah,
I mean, you were,
I definitely should have won that one.
and just got a little wheel spin in the whoops, or what happened?
Yeah, overcommitment. I got too excited, and I made a rookie mistake. Kind of like what Lawrence did. I feel like me and him did the exact same thing. We just got over our head and just, committed too much when it wasn't worth it. Me, I didn't have to do it. And
I think
you had a good lead, right? Like
I did, but
You
Yeah,
were going
to
a
me- got a little
million,
mixed up.
too, dude.
Yeah.
You were going a million, too.
to me, myself, I felt like it was close because I heard him
Yeah.
over the wall because, the wall slows him down. So I heard
Yeah.
him. So to me, I thought he was way
felt closer than it was.
way closer than what it was. And I just way overcommitted. And that was like my weakest point was the whoops.
did your wheel skip a whoop, or what happened?
I just came in so fast, and I because I wheelie over the first one into the second one and was skimming, and I think my rear was going so fast it missed on, and then it just.
we
Yeah.
just watched it the other day because we did a revoice highlight for that show, and it looks to me like when you came in, like you said, when you kick, you do miss, but it wasn't bad. But when you were just resting down, I think at that point you're just given a handful of gas, and you see when the rear does touch, it almost catches an edge,
Yeah.
and then once it deflects, it was just getting that dirt was still slick enough. As it got dry in the evening, you can just watch, and it just
kept
just
going.
never came back.
Yeah.
and it's tough to get it back at that point because you can't chop the throttle.
You have to just hope for the best. Like Travis Pastrana did the same thing, but he was on a 500, so he made it out.
Yeah.
There were a few people that almost had a big one in there as well.
So you ended up breaking your collarbone?
Yeah, ended up just all the way through. It's actually got still a pretty good bump going.
Oh yeah. You didn't plate it or anything? Just let it.
No, well, we went to our doctor, and he's like, well, usually kids around the age of 16 and below, I mean, it doesn't matter how separated it is, it grows back perfect. And it has. I mean, it was pretty sharp, but it's pretty much rounded down, and it's pretty much perfect again.
Well,
So-
considering how hard you actually stuck into that
I
root.
got lucky I didn't hit my head because I actually clipped my visor on the whoop, which dropped my head down, and then my helmet, I think, went into my collarbone. That's what broke it. But I got lucky I just didn't land straight on my head and crank my neck or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I was lucky. Anything you learned from that or took from that event?
Definitely the overcommitting and just knowing your competition and just doing what you need to do. Like, I remember Roxon was talking about that in this interview, and it's exactly what I needed to do. Is he wasn't hitting that big, like, 3-4-3.
Yeah.
He said,
But he was very efficient.
I'll do what I do, and I'll just try and do that as fast as I can and as consistent and efficient as I can. And that was our plan, because there's a little bit different line for the 125s, and I just did my same line there, but we didn't really cover the whoops because, sometimes I was good through them when they were fresh or tacky, and sometimes I was a little bit sketchy, but I seemed to be able to making it through, but I just wasn't quite prepared for the whoops.
What gear were you in?
I think fourth.
Fourth. I was going to say, I probably couldn't pull fifth.
We were on a 150, so it was pulling. It does have a little bit more torque. But that was another thing, too, is we only had 2 weeks of riding beforehand. We didn't get the full preparation we wanted to, because it's just the 150K. And we just got off Super Minis from Retta's. So we're selling the old bikes, getting the new bikes dialed. And it was just, we almost didn't do it. We wanted to do it. I really wanted to do it myself, because I practiced it last year. And I was like, I could have raced this year and almost won on the Super Mini.
Yeah.
So we were really planning on doing that. Or at least I was, and we ended up almost not doing it. But then last second we got the 150 kit, and we ended up doing it. We went down, tested some gearing and jetting and stuff, and we practiced some whoops, but not to where I got them perfectly dialed like rocks.
And every whoop section is different. Like you've got to ride enough variations of whoops to really go and have that confidence and go, I'm good in the whoops. Because remember I told you I thought I was getting pretty good when I first came over. You go to a race situation, they get cupped out, they're a little different, it's a little humbling.
And setup. I mean, guys obviously didn't have a lot of time to test, but that could have been the difference between that bike staying in line or
not.
No.
Yeah. Definitely after that, though, we learned our lesson on being completely prepared, because we'd worked so much whoops going into the futures that I was the best in the whoop section. So,
Are they leaving those whoops?
They actually, I was surprised this year, because they usually don't. Sometimes they'll just make them rollers.
Yeah.
But this year they actually left them. The ones at Glendale are literally the same whoops. They just barely rolled down, but you can see the blue groove from the night before from the pros still on there. There's just some dirt on top, but once they blew off, there's still the same line through those things.
Yeah.
Whoops are hard to repair.
Yeah.
You either kind of slowly knock them down, or you have to flatten them and rebuild them again.
You're pretty active on social media. Which it's kind of weird for us, like guys that didn't come from that era, but it's just part of life for you guys. Which ones do you focus on? How important do you think that is for you as an athlete trying to build a brand?
Yeah, for sure. Now you have to do it at this point. You can't not be on social media, because that's where you're getting a lot of exposure, and even for some guys, that's where they're getting their main income from. So you have to be good on social media too, and you have to be good at both. But some kids are going to be a little bit better at social media and then they don't have to be as good as riding, because it doesn't matter how good you are, it's how good people think you are. So
yeah,
There's some truth to that.
Like sometimes I think it's cool when you get a glimpse into a guy's personal life that you otherwise wouldn't get. Like videos of them at home doing stuff, or I don't know. Some of it's I don't need to see a picture.
Still
of your
only
food.
what they want you to see.
Right, but it's a way in, like it's a glance in that you otherwise wouldn't get at all, probably. So I do like that. I think that's cool.
That's cool. I
hate when these companies make the guys do posts. And Rockstar Energy Drink, dude, is driving me bananas.
I'm just going to have me an eye, because I do this all the time.
They're making their guys every week or whatever. You got to do a post.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay.
When you know what they're doing, I feel like it's cheesy.
It's
like
super cheesy.
To me, I feel the opposite. I feel like I'll never go buy Rockstar because these guys drive me up the wall.
Social media should be more personal and more,
just more genuine.
Yeah, more genuine, more friendly, more, it seems like, that he's doing it because he's just showing his life or whatever he's doing. Not something that
they would be better off just saying, I want you to work a Rockstar logo or drink into something you're doing.
Yeah.
Don't post, I'm having myself an ice cold freaking whatever flavor.
Throw me one of those.
It's like...
And they all have one sip, and then they end up in the trash can.
Did you ever see those Schmitz Gay commercials on Saturday Night Live?
Schmitz Gay?
You ever see that? You know what I'm talking about? with Chris Farley. If you're gay and you've got a big thirst, reach for a Smith's gay.
For sure. Because it was off the Schlitz beer, and then,
So it's Adam Sandler and Farley, and they crack one of these beers, and the pool fills up. It's like this old ratty pool, and all of a sudden these guys in like Speedos come out. And anyway.
Well,
you're scaring Max right now. Look at him. He's shaking his head, looking at you, going, "What the hell am I doing here?"
Just Google it. It's a thing.
Well, I laugh because when you look at social media, it's like Facebook is where everyone gets like pissy and bitchy and political. Instagram is how great my life is, and Twitter is just irrelevant crap. Whatever they're thinking,
just crap.
Like, yeah,
you know, whoever always like.
I had a car cut me off.
Yeah, who cares?
I had a burger today. Yeah, that's nice.
So what do you focus on? Which ones? Instagram.
Yeah, my biggest following's on Instagram.
How many followers do you have?
Close to 60,000, I believe. Actually, have I surpassed 60,000? Yeah, I've surpassed it now. So.
How many does your dad have? 600.
Two.
me and my sister.
Yeah, you two follow. I'll follow you.
Family love.
So, what do you do on there? Like, what do you kind of try to?
Just normal riding clips sometimes. We'll do some fun stuff. I'll do some wheelies on the bicycle or
You're almost at 65,000.
Oh, okay. I'll
64,400.
I don't look at it that much.
Well, 4,400 people just joined on because they knew you were coming on the show. So they knew you were cool. So they started
They're like,
following.
"You're good on the Whiskey Throttle show? We're going to follow you."
I don't pay too.
That's pretty impressive, though.
Yeah.
I mean, at your age, makes us look
you get
dumb.
into these TikTok dances?
No.
That's my girls. That's all they do.
It's like kind of a girl thing. I feel like.
Is it?
Yeah.
Seen
Faulkner.
So I need to stop practicing them.
Did you say Faulkner's on them?
Yeah. Did you see his girlfriend had him do the thing where they switch clothes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I switched off at that point. I switched off. I was like, this is too much for me.
Delete the app at that point.
Yeah. I almost
If
threw up my
that
phone.
video would have started with Austin in a real skimpy bikini, I would have watched it all the way
The
through.
whole way, yeah, exactly. Wait for the switcheroo.
Wait for the switch, anyway. What about your goals? What are your goals? If right now you could lay it out and win everything that you want to win, what would it be?
Well, I think just to start with the first is I really want to win my rookie race. I know Tomac did it, and it's my home track, home crowd. It'd be sick to win Hangtown. So that's like the main goal that I'm shooting for right now. I know winning the championship first year is not something that everyone does. You have to be pretty special to do that. And
Has anybody done that?
Ricky,
yeah.
Oh, Ricky.
Then Travis, yeah. So handful of the best. So
Yeah.
I mean, if you can be
James.
considered if you can be considered with some of them guys, then you'd be a pretty bad dude. But just winning the first race is pretty impressive. So that's the goal. And I've ridden so many hours in Hangtown. I think I should be able to get it done. I feel pretty confident about it now, even though I'm not at the level where I need to be for at least training and physical wise. But I mean, I got plenty of time to get there right now.
well, you're also at that age now where I think this is when you go from being pretty good to like really good. It seems like 15, 16, even into 17. I think most riders that's when they go from, you saw him at the track and he was a kid looking pretty decent, then 18 months later it looks like a man just crushing it out there. So
Well, I'm excited to see what happens when you get on the four-stroke. Because I love the 125. I think it's so good that your dad's got you doing that, because you will learn so many things that will transfer over and make you better. But once you get on that four-stroke with that extra power, and they're more forgiving, they handle better corner grip, like it's going to be a whole nother level for you. You know what I mean?
Well, my riding style myself is, I'm definitely rear and steer, and I like my suspension the way I like my suspension, but torque is the main thing. I love having a crap load of torque. My Super Mini was torqued out. My Super Mini is way faster than my 125.
Is that right?
Yeah, I'll say it was power to weight ratio, and just the torque it had. It could pull third out of the corner when I was way too heavy for the dang thing. So it was definitely faster than my 125.
Who was doing the motors on that thing?
It was in-house KTM.
Oh, okay.
Billy.
Okay.
He was doing my motors. Billy and Dudley are the two. Dudley's like the main one that covers, and then Billy was doing my stuff.
Dudley used to build our engines, eh?
Dudley worked on my PW50.
Is that right?
I think he did something to the cylinder or whatever, but I remember my dad would go there Friday afternoon, like, what can we do to this thing? And they would gusset weld the swing arm because they always break, those 50s weren't designed to be raced. But yeah, Dudley used to work on my mini bike engines.
Yeah.
Dudley's been around, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, he's
Yeah, he was in road racing as well. He did MotoGP.
Did he?
He helped way back in the day, he was, well, I say way back in the day, probably in the 90s, he was living in, I think he was in the UK for a while, and he worked for a company that developed the first, like TPI. So they came up with, basically fuel injection for dirt bikes. And then I think that patent or that technology was sold to one of the manufacturers, and then kind of snowballed from there. Interesting though, but it's funny that he's now doing your engines after all these years.
Well, I think he was I don't know how long Billy's been there. I'm sure he's been there for a few years, but he was like overlooking him, I believe, and kind of working with him on the two-strokes and stuff so he could learn them.
Mentoring
him, once he got the hang of it, my motors were super good on Super Minis. I remember Redos, which is the last Super Mini race I had. It was the best motor I raced. It was so fast. Like even my dad, we were at A-Ray's house riding he's got a sand track in Tennessee, and it pulled me through the sand where my dad could physically see. He's like, that motor's fast. I'm like, yeah, this motor's incredible.
That's cool. Well, there's something else, which is a lot of the call it newer builders and technicians, and that they're four-stroke people. Think about it. We've been on four-strokes now for 20 years. A lot of people in the industry don't really have a background in two-strokes. So all of a sudden, you go two-stroke racing. There's only a few people that really know how to make a two-stroke run these days.
Yeah.
That are still around, in the industry.
I'm glad I had that motor because, Redos I felt like it was probably one of my easiest races. I won every moto and I had everyone covered too that weekend. Like,
how good is that feeling?
It was the bike was so good. I was feeling good. Suspension was good, and it was just like perfect. Like good starts, and then you go through the deep ruts, and you're just riding. You're barely riding. You're riding 70%, and you're just hauling,
pulling away.
Yeah, every moto.
Okay, so you win your first national. Then what? What's the goals from there? You got anything written down?
Well, I feel like you definitely come in first national. Everyone's got the jitters, but kind of rookie, you kind of send it so more than maybe some of the top guys. So the goal is to probably try and keep that there. But I remember watching Tomac; he kind of won the first one, and then he kind of died off halfway through the season.
He cooked himself in Texas.
He blew up in Texas. Yeah, he died.
And then he wasn't really.
But that comes back to almost that peaking too soon thing.
Yeah,
we
that
talked
is
about
too. Yeah.
If all your emphasis is on that race and you peak, then it can be hard to maintain.
Well,
but sometimes getting that first win
is all you
gets
need.
the ball rolling, and then you're in the zone.
It's interesting to me that like Eli let that happen. His dad's no idiot. That guy's an athlete.
But you don't know what you don't know either.
Yeah. You don't know.
Like, let's be honest. They went there to win. They won. They went to Texas. Yeah, and then boom, it was hot. And I think at that point you come in leading the championship. You're a little young, a little naive. I'm Superman. I got this. I train hard with my dad in elevation. He had never experienced that heat at that level of intensity where you're riding 120%.
Well, it was so hot. It was like ridiculously hot. But I wonder, like we talked with Talon last week about going into a race and going, okay, let's maximize what we can get out of today. It's 105 and 100% humidity. We don't want to die. Let's try to let's see if we can get out of here with a top 5.
Do our averages and just try and, stay in it. I mean, that's even winning the first race seems like a long shot, but nothing.
Yeah, why not? Swing for the fence.
Yeah.
What's the word?
Go for set your goal higher than. Yeah.
But in that goal, I mean, there's also a possibility to blow yourself up because you have putting so much pressure on yourself.
Cool, Donnie. Thanks for the negativity, bro. I'm bring it down a couple levels.
I'm just saying, like, if you put too much pressure,
maybe you should just try to qualify.
If you put too much pressure on yourself, I'm just saying that it can happen.
It can.
I feel like I'm more confident though, being my home track and how many hours I have.
There you go.
Yeah.
If you feel like less pressure for that race at least, and maybe more on tracks I've never ridden.
Do you like moto better than Supercross? Do you care one way or the other?
Well, being amateurs, I grew up on this moto, so.
But you've ridden some Supercross tracks, I'm sure.
I've gone on some Supercross. Supercross is, I remember Super Minis, a lot of us little prepubescent childs racing Super Minis. We didn't like each other. Everyone's cocky teenager or whatever. We're taking each other out gnarlier than the pros do. So it was like arena cross, but Supercross. The Super Minis racing Supercross is a little bit gnarly. I still get a little bit of it on the 125, but not much. So Supercross is fun to race. It was definitely brutal on Super Minis, but Supercross is the best for play riding, hitting whoops, runs, transfers, whips.
But you're comfortable going out and jumping stuff.
I could get around Supercross.
You strike me from just what I've seen as just very natural. Like, I feel like maybe I'm wrong on this one, but I think you might actually be even better at Supercross down the road than motocross. You know, maybe if you're winning in motocross, maybe
we'll see.
I don't know. I could just see
Yeah.
you being a slightly better Supercross rider than outdoor. Just based on when I watch, I'm like, man, the kid is just. You're like one with the bike.
Yeah,
And maybe it's the BMX and the talent and all that combined, but you watch it, you're like, there's something unique.
I've always had really good timing.
Yeah.
I remember.
And that's critical in Supercross.
Yeah.
I didn't. My timing wasn't too good. Took a while.
Riding Super Minis, and actually we got a one-off chance to ride. This was before the red clay track was the TLD track. So the TLD had the track up top, and then factory KTM. And we actually came down and we rode with Marvin and Roger and Ian were out there, and they're like, Ian was pretty impressed because I hit the Supercross triple and it only took me one try.
On a Super Mini?
Super Mini.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the thing was so torquey, but I came out of the corner and I kind of just was doubling it earlier in the day, and then just doubled it once, came around, hit it perfect. And then even later today, there's Dragon's Back there. I've never skimmed a Dragon's Back. Got that down by the end of the day too, and they're like, "Wow, yeah, it was pretty impressive." And I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, another kid that impressed me. I remember I was out at the Kawasaki test track. I was helping with Thomas Covington, and he was doing the 250F race at Monster Cup, and Cinderella was still on the Super Mini. And Mitch did the bikes and that, and we were out at the test track because they allowed all the amateur guys to go out one day. And we were there, and I was watching Cinderella, and I was like, holy crap. I'm like, not only did he look good, but I mean, what he could do on that Super Mini and the sound that thing made, it was like, yeah. I'm like, holy crap, that thing is barking.
Yeah, Mitch's Super Minis were pretty dang fast.
I think because of his size and the power, he could basically jump, I think everything except there was one, like, rhythm out of a corner that he couldn't triple out. And I'm like, but everything else, no problem, man.
So are you signed up with the TLD KTM team then through 2021?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And so they're kind of on the same program. You'll do, well, whatever races happen to exist this year. I don't know if there's going to be, but.
Well, here's the other thing. If you look at how the schedule keeps getting pushed, like, is Loretta's going to happen on the same weekend? Because there could be a national that weekend now.
Yeah, there's a couple different theories for Loretta's right now. They're talking about maybe having like 3 super regionals, so one on the East Coast, one mid, and then one on the West. Or have just 2 straight weeks at Loretta's where they go through qualifiers and everything. Just let everyone
make it the qualification.
Yeah.
That's tough though, man. Like,
how many people are going to show up?
For one, yeah.
You couldn't park
where do you?
there.
Yeah, it's packed as it is.
5,000 riders.
Where do you put them? And then can you imagine going, okay, we're going to go to Loretta's, and then you don't qualify there,
and you're landlocked in there. You know, you can't get out.
Yeah.
Hey, the bad news is you didn't qualify. The really bad news is
you're stuck,
bro. You're here for 9 more days.
And the guy empties the porta johns at a park behind you. He's not making it for a couple more days.
I feel like most likely that's what they're going to go with. I mean, you make so much money because all the C-class guys and the kids that barely make it or just want to go, they're all going to go.
So you're thinking the 2-week deal? That's what you think?
I would hope the 3 regionals because it'd just be a little bit better that way, but I feel like the 2-week deal would benefit them more. Maybe not so much the riders.
Well, California just announced another 3 months of lockdown, so
I don't know if
maybe
it's all
Arizona.
California. I think it's
LA County. You're right.
It's LA County, yeah. Who cares about LA County?
Nobody. They should.
We should saw that off and let it float away in the ocean.
Where's this earthquake coming that's going to drop them into the ocean? Is that
dude? We just saw it off and just push it out.
Frisco and LA could just go.
Yeah, for sure.
So how was your show with an amateur kid? It was greet. We talked about California falling off into the ocean. You know, typical amateur stuff.
Just normal amateur stuff. Yeah.
Mac's like, let's talk politics. I know he's really into it.
Too soon.
So if you had your main rivalries, who would they be here in the U.S.? Like what guys?
Jet's always been my main rival since day one.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been battling 50s, 60s.
Do you guys get along, or is it kind of like,
no,
oh, really?
Definitely not.
Really?
Yeah, definitely some tense strings in there.
Well, that's what I said. Amateur racing's gotten more intense because you see the rivalries are, I think, stronger now than they were 20 years ago at this level.
Ever got physical? I mean, ever a little bump and run?
I mean, stupid kid shit at the track one time, but I think I won Freestone that day, and it kind of shut him out.
If you find out there's a chick that he likes, just get a picture with her and just show him at the start line sometime. Like, oh, I was hanging out. She's so cool. It's my turn.
Line up next to him. Start in first gear. Get the jump.
and hang
just
hard
move
rides.
over.
Who is the other kid that you took out to at Loretta's that in front of everybody?
Andrew Despain.
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one was intentional.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Broke his arm or whatever, something, right?
Good times.
Yeah, but then somebody posted his results. He raced the next moto, so obviously it wasn't broken.
Oh, he taped it up.
Yeah. Drama queen. So, all right, you said you don't do much for fun outside, like, you don't have any other hobbies or anything. You have a girlfriend? Sounds like no.
No, not at the moment.
All right, good. Listen to your dad
Not that
on
my
all
dad
that.
doesn't know of.
What about your favorite movie? What kind of movies do you like? Are you a comedy guy?
Yeah, comedy movies are always good to watch, but I don't really watch much.
Let's say you're
Netflix or
stuck on an
movies.
island and you just get one movie.
It's called Castaway.
Yeah, the movie. That movie's called.
Oh, okay.
You get a volleyball and one movie.
Wilson!
Yeah.
Can hang out with
Man.
Wilson.
I remember Spaceballs is a pretty good movie. Did you ever
Spaceballs
watch
is good.
that
I
movie?
still haven't seen that one.
Comb the deserts.
Super fantastic speed. What was it?
Yeah, ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed.
Oh, yeah.
Well, with being at home more often, we've been watching some movies. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but you should watch it. It was better than I thought it was going to be. The kids suggested Coffee and Kareem.
I haven't seen it.
Dude, just watch it. It is. I laughed. The kids were like, "Yeah, when I have friends," I said, "It looks a little dumb, but we watch it. You just got to watch it."
Have you seen Between Two Ferns with Zach Galifianakis, the movie? Oh my gosh!
Oh, there's a movie?
It's on Netflix. So you've seen the interviews that
Yeah,
he
yeah,
does,
yeah,
like
yeah.
right? It's just literally two cheap ferns, and he does these interviews where they're
I just saw-
incredibly awkward.
I just saw Brad Pitt spit in his face.
Yeah, so he does.
Oh, really?
There's a movie.
Yeah.
and it's based on that premise. He gets a deal to go around the country and do this tour, right? And it's got all these famous people in it, and it is. Amber and I got drunk one night and watched it. We were
Laughing.
laughing really hard.
I shot the
That's
clerk.
I shot the clerk.
I shot the clerk.
It's really funny.
Yeah.
At least I remember it being funny. Comb the deserts. Man,
Spaceballs.
I ain't
Everyone
found
likes that.
It
shit.
is a really good movie.
Yeah, I remember that one.
What was the dog's name? Barf. The guy.
Barf,
John
yeah.
Kenny's name was
Yeah.
Barf.
All right, what about music?
Eminem.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
2002 stuff is like all I listen to
The
right
old
now
school
while I'm
Eminem.
training.
I
Yep.
like that.
Slim Shady old stuff.
one shot.
Yep.
And who's your pick for the Supercross title? Ken or Eli?
Well, you can't keep Cooper out of that.
I was just about to say Cooper. Maybe when you don't have the pressure on you, and now that he's healed up too.
What's he back to, like
It's like
23?
20, yeah.
Yeah,
It's right
It
around
only
that. It's almost a race.
It only takes Roxon and Tomac to get into a battle, and they both go down. Bike failures. I mean, anything can happen, but pressure's not on Webb. He doesn't have any pressure, and if
Now he's healthy again.
he's
yeah.
healthy now, yeah. So he's healthy. He's good. Not a lot of pressure on him, and if he starts winning,
And he's got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, and he always works. He always works good when he's pissed off.
Because he's a
so.
scrapper.
Yeah.
That's what I think with him.
Hey, I always want to have him untuck his ears out of his hat, though.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
When you get on the podium, and don't do that.
Don't tuck your ears in.
Get a hat that fits you.
Get a hat that fits you.
I'm sure Red Bull have multiple sizes.
Yeah.
Tell them you want your ears back.
All right, so what titles do you want to win here? Like, lay it out. Maybe 2021, you win the opener. Maybe just a good finish overall in the series.
Yeah.
2022 Supercross.
Well, yeah, the goal is what me and my dad talking about, and we want to come into the pros not like, oh, top 10's good. No, we want top 5s and we want podiums. So that's where we're setting our standards, and that's where we're setting our goals. So for 2022, I should be completely ready. If injury free and preparation and off season goes good, the goal is to be title contender for 2022 in Supercross.
That'd be cool.
I really love that you guys have, like, seriously, like a formula. I just like this is this, and it's laid out.
Well, the thing is, there's two sides to that. You'll have people that'll probably mock you or make fun of you if you don't accomplish the goal because you
Yeah.
said it.
Yep.
And my dad always told me that'll happen. But I remember he said one thing: if you put it out there, you now feel a certain amount of responsibility, and you don't want to be humiliated. And he always said it helps you achieve your goals. And
Yeah.
saying, you know what, I'll be man enough to say this is what I want to do. Some people might snicker and go, oh, I'm sure he's going to win next outdoor.
Haven't you heard the laws of attraction? That's it. If
Yeah,
you
exactly,
put it out
exactly.
there,
Take it easy,
kinda
Oprah.
happens.
Oprah Winfrey.
All right.
Can you
All right,
calm
sorry.
down? over
I
there?
believe in the laws of attraction. I like that goals are set and you're aiming that way.
I love it. No, I'm telling you, after having talked to your dad last week and just listening to you, man, I think the sky's the limit for you guys. Like, I don't think I've ever seen somebody with such a detailed plan and game plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a strategist. You've got a guy who's literally done everything.
Yep.
you know what I mean? And a young kid who's like got the pedigree to make it happen.
Yeah,
Formula to win.
I think I have the skills and the technique on the bike, and I got my dad and my uncle to help eliminate all the mistakes that usually rookies make.
The question is, will you listen to him in about the next few years?
I listen to my uncle a lot because he's smart and he's
Because he's smart.
not that my dad's not smart, but uncle's smarter, I should say. But he 100% of the time he's right.
Yeah.
I don't think I remember a time he hasn't really been right.
Well, Talon even said that. He says, my brother's like,
he's always right.
He's got the plan.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I listen
Which
to
is,
him.
it's weird to me because he looks like a little street boxer, you know? Like you wouldn't think he's this.
He runs everything through his head and just picks apart everything. He sees stuff that no one else sees when it comes to riding and technique and stuff. You can just pinpoint it and be like, this is what you need to do.
Some people just have a knack for that.
It's just natural.
That's amazing. Well, you've got two really good guys in your corner, man. And as a TLD guy, I'm obviously stoked to see you just come into your own and kick some ass.
Yeah.
So, like I said to you earlier, go out and make this stuff happen, and let's see you back here in 5, 6, 7 years and talk about the road that it took to get there.
Yeah.
I think the main thing is if you can stay, for the most part, injury-free the next couple of years, I think you'll go to that level that you want to be at. It's going to be fun to watch.
And we normally ask, how do you want to be remembered? But you haven't even
I haven't started.
you haven't started yet, so let's let you get your career going. But thanks for coming in, man. I appreciate
thanks for having me.
We're stoked to see how it goes for you.
Thank you.
Kick some ass, bud.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, that's Maximus Vohland. Stay tuned. We're going to wrap up the show.
At Nihilo Concepts, we have a passion for innovation and for motocross. Our mission is to develop parts that will improve the durability, functionality, and the appearance of your motorcycle. We're proud to say that everything from Nihilo is made in the USA in our state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Stuart, Florida. Whether you race every weekend or you just ride for fun, Nihilo offers high-quality, innovative parts that you just won't find anywhere else. Nihilo offers custom engraved engine covers, one-piece titanium foot pegs, brake tips, internal engine components, specialty tools, frame grip tape, carbon fiber components, and so much more. Check out our website, NihiloConcepts.com, and see for yourself why teams like Red Bull KTM, Rockstar Husqvarna, Troy Lee Designs, and some of the fastest riders in the world choose Nihilo Concepts. NihiloConcepts.com.
myself, I'm running from myself. I'm starting to black out, yeah, but staring at the stars.
Yeah, that's Sublime with Rome bringing us back. Welcome back to the show. It was the first time we've ever had an amateur kid on our show, and we thought just kind of seeing the stars line up for this kid, I see really big things in his future. I don't know about you, but I don't know that I've ever seen such a well-prepared, planned-out career with all of the right pieces in place, from team to father to uncle to you name it. Sky's the limit for that kid, and he's a really nice dude.
Yeah,
and
great family.
Sometimes now, too, we look at motocross and sometimes cynical, right? It's like, where are we going and how are things? But when I see a kid like that, it's like I get excited about the future.
Yeah.
It's like I'm excited to see this kid grow and get faster and be competitive, and especially with his pedigree, where he comes from. But how he's a nice kid, too.
He is a really nice kid. And, I mean, he's already, for 16, he's pretty well-spoken. He's pretty outgoing, whatever. I mean, he's a young guy. I think as he grows into himself and finds his personality, he could be very much like an Adam Cianciarulo kind of guy, just outgoing, professional, kind of the guy that carries the sport on his shoulders for a while. So, and obviously, look, it's motocross. A million different things could happen. But if you got to bet on a kid, not only would I love to see it happen for him, I think he's got the odds in his favor.
But like I said, it's like you're always looking at who the next guy coming up is, and you want to make sure, because everybody gets a guy, right? They're like, this is my guy or that's my guy. And you see a guy that you can root for and that's clean and has a plan and is good.
Yeah.
So it's kind of exciting.
What do you think about him? His it's almost kind of like what RC did, where he's not really worried about training off the bike. It's just hours and hours and hours of seat time.
I think right now that's the best thing for him, because you're developing your skills at this age, and there's far more, in my opinion, to be gained on the bike than doing all the other stuff. I think that there is a point, and he's probably getting close to that point, where your training does have to go to a slightly different level, where you're working on, toning, strengthening, a little more, maybe gym, plyometrics, whatever it may be. Some people throw in some yoga, some of this, some of that, but because he's gone through this growth spurt, but you can tell he needs to fill out a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between the teenage kids when they first move in. And that's why I think sometimes it's hard for them to do a full season at 100% capacity. I don't know if the body is ready.
Hey,
look at Jet Reynolds. He says those two are kind of fierce competitors right now, right? So Jet moves up. They don't have a 125, so they got to go right to the 250. And that's assuming those two are built similarly.
Sure.
Look, I mean, I don't mean to be sound like a dick, but he's still that kind of a skinny teenager.
Hasn't filled out yet.
Right? And then I would say you're a lot more susceptible to breaking when you fall built like that without having a little bit of muscle on you. I would tell you in the next 2 years, he's probably going to thicken way up. Yeah.
Hey, but let's face it, you already mentioned RC, but the two best riders we've ever had in the United States spent most of their time just riding. RC and McGrath. Yeah. And that was most of their program.
Well, and Stewart. Stewart wasn't a big off the bike guy. He was just ride.
And what about Reed? Is he kind of...
Chad's a little more that way. I mean, he mountain bikes and does his gym workout.
But he seemed like he was more on the bike.
But even when I was around him, like at the Yamaha days and that, one thing, he rode a lot. Like he would get to the test track and we'd always leave at the same time because I couldn't leave before him. But everyone would leave, and it would be him and usually me left behind. But he would ride a lot. Like I just remember I was like, dude,
this guy's still
he's done like 10 sessions today. Go out, come in, go out, come in, go, try this, have lunch, take his boots off, go out. I'm like, wow, all day. Most guys are like, I'm going to get my motors in and I'm out. So,
pretty interesting.
It is interesting stuff. It'll be
But different things work for different people too.
For sure.
Everyone's body's different. I didn't do a lot of weight training because I filled out, and just from a lot of riding, I started to bulk up. And so,
but listen, racing motocross, kind of the most important skill is riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
Well, if you are so comfortable on that bike that it just feels like an extension of you, that means you ride it with less energy, so you don't even need to be in as good a shape, right? It's just a natural extension of you. You're relaxed. You're not going to pump up, all those things. So it makes sense that way. But like you said, I think he's going to need to build like a cardio base so that when he does get beat down in a moto, like if he has a really hard dig in a moto, he can recover and be ready for that second
And
moto.
also just to be able to sustain longer, you
Yeah.
need that muscle memory.
Yeah. Anyway, need to sit down and chat with him. I didn't, I've met Max, but not really gotten to sit down and talk with him, so that was fun. And it'll be neat to go back and revisit him in a handful of years. Hopefully he's got a couple titles under his belt. I would love to see it not only for he and his family, but I'd love to see it for TLD. And KTM.
They've made an investment. This is probably their what do you call it? The biggest outreach, meaning grabbing a good kid at a relatively young age. We've
Yes.
seen other teams or brands do that, but I think like you said, for TLD, this was a big step out to try and get them under their tent.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's crazy now. If you don't get them early, it's like you're almost missing them,
You do, because a lot of times they'll end up, if someone thinks they're good, they'll sign them to 5-year contracts.
You know what's wild is Mitch has even said this, and it's outside of a few people that break out and have abnormal seasons, it usually takes a couple years in the pro ranks before you know if a guy is going to get there or not.
Sure.
Rarely do they just come in and start winning.
Right.
There's a learning curve and there's injuries and there's, takes some time.
It's very rarely, seldom happened.
So anyway, interesting stuff. It'll be fun to watch. Let's get into our SKDA Get At Me Q&A. If you've got questions, send them in on our Twitter or our Instagram. We'll answer it. You can send questions for the guests. We usually announce those a week prior. So shoot them in. We'll ask them, and we'll answer these. Tony, if you're not familiar with SKDA, please go check out their website or look at their Instagram page and just scroll through some of their designs.
Their graphics are unbelievable.
Yeah, it'll blow you away. It's truly way outside the box. They're being copied left and right now by all these different companies who are kind of seeing their design, but these guys are the original for this whatever this look is. I don't even know what you call it.
Well, even the material, I'm telling you, they talked about it helps with the bubbles, but it just lays so nicely.
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, it really isn't that different, but it looks way different because it's just enough. It's like, wow, you're putting graphics on a bike.
Some people just find a way to find a niche to have a certain look that you go, it's got to be them, but yet it's not always the same look.
When you see the best designers, sometimes a guy will design a page or whatever, like laying out a magazine or whatever, and then they just add one or two things, and it looks like 100% different to the original ad, and that's kind of what it feels like that they do.
Well, and I love it when a company or a designer or an artist has a look, and you can see it from across the room and go, oh, that's so Metzger.
Yeah,
Mike Metzger, who just designed a T-shirt for us. It's going to be available here
That
next
T-shirt
week.
is rad, by the way, and not to get off the page, but that was...
He killed it.
He killed it, yeah.
But I can look at a Metzger painting and go, oh, that's Metz. Like, you can just tell the style of it. Steve Caballero is another one. If you've looked at any of his artwork, Cab does really cool stuff, but it all has kind of a similar vibe to it. So you can look at it and go, oh, yeah, that's Cab stuff. That's cool. I want to get him to build us a shirt, too, by the way.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, so get over to SKDA and check those guys out. Donnie, what do we got for questions?
I think we're going to steer these questions toward our last two guests this week and last week. So who do you guys think were, let's say, the top 5 mini-cycle guys of all time?
Well, some of them,
That's hard.
I didn't get to see them because it was before me or whatever. Some of that, obviously in more recent times, I think Michael Lessie was one. He won a lot of titles and he was very dominant.
He won the most, right? He's won
still got the record?
13 or something like that. Yeah.
Most Loretta
Didn't
style.
Cincerello pass him
No,
in the end?
he got 11 or something, and Mike still has like 13 or 15 or
Yeah, I
something
think that's
like
right.
Yeah, so I would say Alessi, Cincerello. When I first came over, I remember Justin Buckaloo was really dominant
Oh,
in
yeah.
Super Minis. Like, he worked Pastrana, myself, like everyone at that time. And he got that YOT ride, which kind of did okay, got some podiums in Supercross, and then fizzled out. But another guy that was strong in Super Minis. And then I'm trying to think who else I would throw in there.
Well, if you go back to some, like I wrote down, there's some old guys. Jimmy Button. He was amazing on 80s. Buddy Antonez.
Button.
Jimmy Gaddis. If you go back, like kind of what we were talking about this with Talon in his show was you had the DMC
Yep.
Kawasaki guys and the R&D Suzuki guys, and then you had a couple of Yamaha. I think Dave Miller was building those too, but like Mouse McCoy and Eddie Hicks, those guys were amazing on those bikes.
Mike Healy was good.
Mike Healy was really good. Eric Kehoe.
Yeah.
You know, all those guys were good.
A little
But,
farther back, I got.
but on the DMC Cowies, you had John Kitch. You had Brian Swink, Lowell Thompson.
I forgot about Lowell Thompson.
You know, Rick Simmett was on a Honda at the time.
Yeah.
He was really good. Maybe it was Kyle Lewis that was really good too. I can't remember. There was another
Kyle Lewis was good on there.
Did I say Swink? Swink was badass. Sean Kalos.
Yeah.
Did you ever see his Greyhound bus?
You bet.
Yeah, he was the original.
So my best friend Johnny Posco was a local pro, and we would go to we'd go to races, and his dad had a little motorhome, you know, and so his dad would tell him, get out and fill up the motorhome, and he goes, do you think Sean Kalos' dad tells him to get out and fill up the motorhome? You know, it was kind of a joke. It's like,
well, it was actually Sean's grandfather. That took him racing.
it had a bike compartment in the side, and had a little fold down gate, and they would load the bikes in the back above the motor.
His dad owned a company called Lancer Leathers. Did you ever? Have Lancer Leathers?
For sure.
Oh, I remember them.
Yeah, like actual proper leathers.
Yeah.
And anyway, bought that bus for him to take him racing, and he'd roll out a fleet of Honda 80s.
Oh yeah.
It was pretty sick looking.
You know, there's some older guys like
Emig was really good.
Yeah. Bruce Bunch, that guy was amazing. You know, he was killed at Ponca, and
Kyle
Fleming and
Hemi.
Yeah. Did you say Eddie Hicks already?
Yep.
Said Eddie Hicks, yeah.
Yeah. How about Eddie Warren? Remember him?
I remember him. I don't remember him on a mini bike though.
He was good on a mini bike.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He was a Yamaha kid too.
So you guys have got your top 50.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you pick one's better than the other. I mean, those
well,
were
I
just
think we're going through the names and then picking them. I guess you're right. It's like, how do you do that?
You could go pull up how many titles they've won and go, okay, that's the order. But
like you said,
there were just some guys that were really good at that and didn't make the transition.
Right. So
And you're
there's also things you guys have said, and that is sometimes their results didn't show how good they were. Now, if you want to just say results, but there was other guys that were just blazing fast. I had a friend, Colin Karcher, that was really fast, and he raced the
Damon Bradshaw was
Damon
fast.
Bradshaw, yeah.
Chad Pedersen was really fast on 80s.
Yeah, but when you mention
Lusk. Ezra Lusk was really
But here's
fast.
the thing, when you mention some of those names, not like you can't include them if they were successful as a pro, but I was more thinking like guys that were good then and then just didn't really make the transition.
Oh, yeah.
Because, you know, like, of course, if you go down that road, it's like, there's Emming, and then
So,
you can list almost
then
everyone.
you would be surprised.
Izzy and Stroop.
Yeah,
Those would be two
wow.
really good guys. Those were fast kids.
You would have to say you'd be surprised that Mike Alessi didn't win, you know, big bike titles. I mean, 450 title.
yeah.
But when I was looking in...
I mean, he did in Canada, right?
Neither did Button, though.
Neither did Button, yeah.
But Alessi, I think it was starting, was it 04? He was runner-up? Or was it 05? Anyway,
In
he went
Canada?
like runner-up to like Stewart in 04, I think, maybe. Don't quote me on that one. But Tedesco in 05, I was third in that championship. I was injured.
And the year he
Then the year
KO'd
after,
the year he
was
KO'd
second
himself,
to
he was
Villapoto. Then the following year, he was second to me in the 450.
Yeah.
Then the following year, he was second to Stewart. And I think he got like 6 second-place overall finishes in the outdoors behind 6 different riders.
That's impressive.
You know what? I don't think I've ever seen. I don't know. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I've never really seen the guy go and start a fight or get mad at anybody. I don't know if
Who, Alessi?
yeah.
I don't think they need to start a fight. It just happens.
Yeah. Well, no, the fight comes to him, but I'm saying that I don't ever remember him being like him personally being the aggressor.
Mike was never an aggro kid. I just think Tony ruffled some feathers.
Oh, he definitely.
I'd like to see Max just show up at Hangtown next year with just like Believe the Hype.
Believe the hype. Believe the hype 2.
Yeah. Take 2.
I don't
part 2.
want to see that.
No.
That's not going to end well, no matter how that goes.
Well, I guess it would be you'd have to really go through the stats, right, to nail down who was really good on a mini bike
That never.
but didn't transition.
Yeah, I don't know.
What about Johnny Molly?
Yeah,
He was really good on many
Yes,
bikes,
you're
and then,
right.
then
I
just
still think-
never cut it.
I think Hicks and McCoy, those guys were meant to be
The best.
the best.
Yeah.
You could talk to like all the guys we look up to, from Epic to RJJ. They looked at those guys, and Hicks and McCoy were
Crazy, huh?
next level. Like they were
Yeah,
the
yeah.
guys. And
Hey, I think
just-
Robbie Gordon was good on a mini bike too.
Really
Probably.
Yeah.
Robbie Gordon.
Yeah. He did he was good as an amateur motocrosser for sure. I've seen him win Golden State titles and stuff.
All right. Well,
All right, so
I don't know if I could pick 5, but there's like 10.
the debate rages on then.
Yeah, it does. It'll
Maybe
just keep
some
going.
people can give us their feedback.
Yeah. All right.
What
Well,
else we got?
Well, since we had Max on and Talon last week, can you name other successful or good father-son motocross
Duos.
There's actually more than we realized when
Yeah.
we were trying to think about this just 5 minutes ago. You know, whether it was Europe, you got Everett's family. Well, they
Which-
might have 3 generations.
Which would be three.
That-
Three
yeah.
generations.
Could you imagine if Liam was world champion? That'd be pretty
That would be
mind-blowing.
amazing.
That would be
mind-boggling.
the only 3-time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The creme de la creme, as they
And then
say.
the Nichols.
Yeah.
Kurt
Dave
and
Nickel
Dave.
won a GP. Kurt didn't win championships, but won a lot of races.
Vice champion.
Vice
too many times.
Yeah.
Vice champion's good. It's almost as good as a win. Just doesn't pay as well.
It doesn't pay as well.
Yeah.
I can't.
The Vohlands, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously, if that happens, Anstey, Max, and Irv Anstey, both won GPs.
David Bailey and Gary Bailey.
The Baileys.
The Baileys,
The Hansons.
the Hansons, Hanny.
Well,
they both-
there's really more than you would have thought. Like, you don't sit and...
potentially the Degans.
Yeah.
Well, there's that
Potential
new
for
wave
that.
coming now where you got like the Fairies.
Oh,
yeah,
and
Evan Ferry.
Wade
Oh, yeah.
and
Is he pretty good? Evan Ferry?
he's got a.
He got a rock star ride.
Yeah, I was going to say he got a factory husky ride now.
So pretty soon we'll have to suffer through him putting up commercials of just
Cracking.
a cold and ice cold rock star to get me through my day.
Yeah.
Sure.
It looks so natural.
Yeah. Hey, throw me one.
Yeah.
Christian and
Oh, yeah.
Mike Craig.
Yeah.
They've won Supercrosses.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't think of anybody
Do
else.
you write anyone else down?
That's what I had written down.
There's some big family names in there.
That's pretty cool.
But then I always wonder who was better, the father or the son. Most of them looks like the son.
You think so?
Bailey.
But Donnie Hansen.
Oh, Donnie.
Donnie was better.
Donnie was legit.
For real.
It's a pity that he had that injury because I think he would.
That stopped him. Yeah.
I think he would have.
Mike Craig, he won a 250 Supercross.
Right.
Christian's won 250F.
Yeah.
Not quite
You know
the
what
same.
Christian was?
What's
I
up?
remember him like going, he was good when he was younger, and then it seemed like he kind of fell out and then just started riding a 450. And remember how at the beginning, the first few times, like, holy crap, this guy's incredible on a 450.
He's got a very natural ability as well.
Yeah. I wish he could get on a 450. I think he would do better if he had a,
He does. I don't think the little bike suits him
I
at
don't
all.
either. He's too big.
He's too big, and there's something about it where he doesn't. and I'm not-
He's a smooth.
right. He's
you
not
know.
as aggressive as the 250 needs, but he's right for the 450.
Yeah, I agree. He rode the 450 for TLD when he was here, and he
Outdoors.
had some great rides.
Outdoors, yeah.
Outdoors.
He was like leading one. He led a couple of motos, like got
Yeah.
hole shots like
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be better for him, but, what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do? Solving
All right,
the
anybody
world's
else?
problems.
Anybody else? Do we solve them all?
I don't know.
Problem
I think there's
solved?
some other people, but maybe didn't quite have as much success as the.
Well,
as
how
the duo.
about brother combos? I mean, that's another one where you see
The Hills?
one brother you think is going to be successful, and
Josh.
actually the other one becomes more successful.
Well, what's funny is I remember there was a period when I think within a matter of like a year, I'd ridden for Mitch and then gone to Yamaha. But I remember being at Kawasaki, James would be out there and Malcolm would just be sometimes playing in the dirt, just
Fishing.
kicking. Yeah, but he would just hang out.
Yeah.
I remember I said to him, you don't want to be out there doing that? And he was like, yeah, I don't know. And then he flicked the switch and was like, you know what, I want some of
How does that happen where the guy doesn't really care? Is it just him being around one of the fastest riders in the world that just bleeds over
I
to
remember
him?
Justin building dirt bike jumps at the Yamaha test track when Josh would be out there because the family would come down and Justin would just hang out. And he was this little dumpy kid. And I said to him, good thing you've come a long way. You weren't getting laid the way you were going.
Wasn't Ryan Dungey a tag along to his brother being faster when they were younger?
Yeah, when they were younger, I think Jade was the fastest.
Is that right?
And he got the rides and stuff, and Ryan was just tagging along.
I know Emig was that way. Brian Emig was actually faster than Jeff for a while. And then obviously that switched.
And then the Johnsons. right?
Johnsons.
And
Isaiah.
and
Keith.
and Keith, yeah.
Well, there was a Kevin Johnson.
And Kevin,
they were
yeah.
cousins.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that was a whole New Mexico family thing.
Yeah,
Not
that
sure
was
who was cousins and who was brothers.
The New Mexico Mafia.
Yeah. I think Isaiah is a fireman in Albuquerque now, though. So.
Hey, and then if we're talking about father and son, we got to look at Nick Way, and
Yeah.
Well, it's a little early.
it is, but he's still heading that direction.
Yeah. I think it's even, obviously early for Evan. You got to wait a little bit. But there's definitely potential for that next wave of
Yeah.
that next generation coming. It'd be fun to watch. I couldn't do it, man. I don't know. Like, even Talon, you just got to
Work
go
all
spend
day,
every
and
day
then,
out at the track now again for your
I
son's
think it's a
whole life?
mindset. When your kid wants that, you'll put all your hobbies
Yeah.
and things on hold and go racing with them, and you'll enjoy that time. And then when that time's sort of over, then a lot of those guys will go back to riding.
Yeah, but you have to have the freedom of that life to do it, because it's like, you can't go do that right now. You've got a job, and you've got to, you know what I mean? You can't just, you don't have
Yeah.
a job in the moto industry where you can just spend all your time with him, prepping him that direction. That's tough too.
Yeah, it's a commitment. I mean, they're definitely planning their whole life around him and
Yeah.
around Max making a career.
And
of it.
then later, Max will fire his dad, and
I hope not. I kept kind of making little
yeah.
suggestions like, hey, listen to your dad. He knows
Yeah.
what he's talking about.
Yeah, but what
But then you hear him like even
Yeah.
he's already taking little shots at his dad.
Oh, yeah.
His
But-
back goes out.
He's like- He said he's going to come out and show me. He never does.
Threw his back out,
What-
getting up out
they
of his
always
chair.
say, youth is wasted on the young. They have all the answers.
True.
Yeah. But youth wouldn't be nearly as fun if you had all that wisdom.
No. The older I get,
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you knew all the dumb things you were doing when
Right.
you did it.
The
You
older-
wouldn't have done anything
You would-
cool
yeah,
or
yeah.
stupid.
the older I get, the stupider I realize I was.
Yeah. You'd be sitting around at 13. I'm just looking through the, my financial portfolio, trying to get a leg up,
Yeah. Day trading's kind of been a bit of a
He's
bitch
getting
lately.
stock advice from GL.
Yeah, you don't want any advice from me. If I show you my portfolio right now, it's devastating.
That's funny.
That's all I got.
That's all we
man.
got?
Yeah.
All right, that's our SKDA. Get at me Q&A. Send in questions. We will talk in circles. Maybe we'll answer it. I don't know. We might get there. Maybe we won't.
I guess these questions weren't as much questions as just let's talk about it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was something like, what's your thought?
Yeah.
Well, there, we told you our thoughts.
We picked our top
All right,
50 best amateurs.
Let's go with the top 3 on the families. Everett's,
Sure.
and you got to kind of go with people who've gotten it done. So Hanny.
Yep. David.
or do you go Craig and Bailey?
But look, David Bailey. Yeah, Bailey. I'd say.
Yeah, I say Everett's, Bailey, and Craig.
Yep. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Everett's for sure.
I mean,
right?
Hanny has more 250 wins, but
Bailey has
Mike
championships.
Craig got.
Yeah, but Donnie Hansen won the championship.
Donnie Hansen
I
won
would
the
go.
championship.
I would go. Everett's, Bailey's,
Hansen.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, it's definitely right.
GL
You
said
could
it's
fact
right.
check that.
Yeah, fact check the shit out of it.
GL's right again.
Yeah.
Just ask me.
All right, we're going to end the show on that with GL being right.
He's also the only one here with a championship.
Here, you're right. You read the sponsors. Let's hear you talk
All
about
right.
them.
Yeah.
And I'll comment randomly.
Just butt in.
Yeah.
Make sure you throw out the hydration thing.
Okay.
All right. We just thank you guys for watching. Couldn't do it without our sponsors, so make sure you support the sponsors that support us. Not the sport, just us. No, I'm kidding. Support the sport. But Yamaha, great brand, great product. You can get 20% off. No, I'm just kidding. Come to our shop, you might get a discount.
Ooh. Dun,
Power.
dun, dun.
Power Dot. Well, the problem we actually have at the moment with not just Yamaha is just getting product. Things have been selling, but with factories being shut down, the showroom floor is pretty empty. So now it's like, hey, what do you have? I'm like, oh, not much. Come have a look. But it's crazy. We're out a lot of stuff.
We've got a
We sold
gas that was traded in the corner over there.
We sold a lot of Yamahas this year as well.
I was talking to the guys at Husky the other day, and I said, you guys, the whole factory shut down for all this. And he goes, yeah. He goes, some of it was obviously the fears of, like, we wanted to protect the people over there at the plant. He goes, but a lot of it was we shut the assembly line down because we couldn't get parts. We have parts made in Spain, we have parts made in Italy, we have parts made here, and
Even though it's manufactured there, they get a lot of outside parts.
So he's
bearings.
like, well, we can't make anything because we can't get the parts. So I guess, let's just shut it down.
Well, there's also been shipping issues because at certain places, I'm sure there's some truth to it, but like at some of the FedEx, and I think it was mostly FedEx, some of their different depots, they had staff walkouts, complaining about the safety for them and all the packages. So there was disruption just shipping and stuff like that. So it's been a little bit crazy, but we sold a lot of Yamahas and a lot of variety of bikes, but surprisingly cannot believe how well it's gone since we've been in this mess. It's unbelievable. But anyway,
The problem is you're going to have a shortage now because
we already do.
So you're losing money now.
I told you, well, you want a 110? Good luck finding one. You're going to have to go to a really random place.
Send me an offer. Better be good.
I know
Don't
where
waste
you
my
live.
time.
I'm just going to sneak it out of your garage.
I bought the last TTR 110 from the shop. My dad was like, you can't do that. We're going to make money on that. I'm like, no, we're not. I'm taking it. I'm like, your grandkids need a bike to ride.
He softens up then, doesn't he?
And then I was the one jumping in on his property. Kids, Dad can have a ride. Just hold on, 5 more minutes.
This is Dad's bike.
5 more minutes.
So get yourself a TTR 110. They're a blast. They really
Yeah.
are. They're so fun, so fun. PowerDot, 20% off. This is the greatest tool you can have. It's a couple $100, but I'm telling you, it'll pay for itself in no time. Method race wheels, the lightest, strongest, fastest race wheels. Whether you need it for UTV, ATV. Do they do ATV? I think they do a few limited ATVs, like the Raptors and that, I thought.
Yeah, they do.
Your Sprinter van, your truck. I'm hoping to get a new truck. I'll lace that bad boy up.
Yeah, they look so good.
They do. And they got a lot of cool variety as well. And especially if you are a bit of an off-road, that beadlock is legit. I know when we sell a lot of our razors, we recommend that. And then their tire that goes with it is pretty good as well.
They got bead grip or bead lock.
Yep.
So just depending on how gnarly you want to get.
I got the
Bead
bead
grip is
grip on my
great as
truck.
well because people don't really understand the difference. When they see it, they go, "Oh, that's pretty cool." It's pretty interesting, and it's cost effective.
I do air my tires down, and I don't have to worry about it as much.
Yeah.
While you're driving up here on the Interstate 15.
Yeah, up and down the 15.
You just air down for good traction.
Yeah.
Troy Lee Designs, check them out. They've always got latest, greatest stuff. They like to do smaller runs of specialty and one-off, or like limited collection sets, things like that. So always check it out because there's always something new. Even at our shop, I see stuff coming in. I'm like, oh, I had no idea, but that's cool.
That new, what the hell are they calling it with the Statue of Liberty on it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Is it the Liberty Hunt?
Maybe Liberty.
It's something like
yeah,
that.
it's Liberty. Oh,
And,
it's dope. American flag, Statue of Liberty. I think it was modeled after Cole's Motocross of the Nations helmet.
Yes.
And it is beautiful.
They have some really cool stuff, and even at the store now, a lot of their stuff that's not part of their spring collection is off map, and they've given us a discount. So there's some honestly gorgeous stuff that we have. You can get decked out head to toe, and it's about half the price. I mean, it's insane. So check it out.
Can they get that online at your website?
No,
You gotta
all
be in
that
store.
stuff is in store. We're not geared up to be a .com. We have a lot of our hard parts and our specialty parts, but soft goods and all that.
Yeah.
We're not a .com, and I think that's why sometimes people think you got to go to the .com because they have everything listed. But I always say, come to the store, you see what they have, and you can negotiate.
Yeah.
They can tell you no, or they can tell you yeah. That's what I would say. Everything's up for a negotiation. As you said, send me an offer.
It's like buying ceramic donkeys or chiclets at the border. It's all negotiable.
Yeah, there you go. SKDA for the best graphics. Also, 20% off Whiskey Throttle graphics, which are really cool. They come in a variety of colors, so they match whatever brand of bike you like, and some cool off colors. Also, they enter code Whiskey Throttle for 20% off. Dunlop, just the best tires, period. Adidas,
Don't be a dick to your feet.
exactly.
Put some good shoes around them.
Yep. Pro Circuit. They race, they win. They have a lot of cool stuff. I don't know if you saw one of Mitch's little posts. I think he had a couple Coors Lights down him, and he was talking about his clamps for the 110. You see they did that limited edition. So we bought some for the shop. Gone in seconds.
I'll bet.
So good job on that one, Mitch. That's pretty cool. Nahila Concept, making cool stuff. Check their website out as well as often as you can, or their social media, because they're one of those companies, I feel like every week or two there's a new product. So their catalog will keep growing, a lot of cool stuff, and they're venturing out into more of the Japanese brands and things like that. I think a lot of people thought that they were a KTM Husky specialty place, but they're got a bit of everything. Seat Concepts, most comfortable seats out there. I'm telling you, if you like to ride, you'll be impressed with what these things can do and how they change your daily ride.
Don't be a dick to your butt.
Don't be a dick to your ass.
That's going to be our motto for everything.
Exactly. Fire Department coffee. Don't be a dick to your taste buds.
Don't be a dick to your colon.
Yeah, get some Fire Department coffee. It is awesome. I'll be the first to admit I've gone overboard with my coffee of late, but I've really been enjoying. I've become quite the coffee connoisseur, but 20% off, 10% goes to injured firefighters. So there's a good cause there too.
It's the original energy drink, people.
Yeah, there you go. You don't even have to crack it open and look dumb on Instagram. You can just drink it.
And it's so good, it'll make you poop twice.
There you go. Where we specialize, just the best bikes out there. Seriously, check them out. If you get a chance, sometimes they do have shops or places we can go demo them. I always tell someone, if you really think about it, try and find somewhere you can get it. You ride an e-bike, I'm pretty sure you'll impulse buy it right there and then. So check it out. OGO, the leader in gear bags and travel bags, they really have supported our industry. So support OGO.
And hydration packs. If you're really into hydration packs, I want to just say how good.
Ping loves his hydration pack for when he goes on his dual sport rides.
Yep.
And they have different sizes, so you can do a little guy and bigger tool packs and whatever. They got a lot of cool stuff, and they're always coming out with great shit. And then Paleo Ranch Foods, they make some cool stuff. I know Ping and Donnie involved, and I've bought some of their stuff online and that. And just check it out. They have some really, really good stuff. Very healthy, very tasty. You'll love it. And finally, Langston Motorsports, where we're big enough to stock it and small enough to care.
And that is the best slogan I've heard all day.
I came up with that one.
Hey, before we go, this is a Brian Moreau replica bike. We've got 2 of these from New Ray Toys. The Mini Me Moto Me. Anyway, really, really cool. The details on these things are insane. We've got 2 of them. We are going to auction them off to benefit Brian Moreau. So keep an eye on Road Recovery's Instagram or webpage. This will go up within the next couple of weeks. And let's raise some money for Brian. So thank you to these guys for donating these. And for those of you out there looking for a really cool toy, this is it.
Collector's item.
Yeah, these are what they look like out of the deal. They come with a stand, some travel in the rear. Fork's very stiff setup. But
Supercross setup.
Yeah, it's Supercross.
There you go.
All right. Well, that's our show. Thank you for the sponsor read, GL.
Anytime.
We have got some very cool news coming up in June. I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet, but we are flying to Oklahoma City for a couple of shows. So a couple of folks you haven't heard from in a minute, and there are going to be some badass shows coming in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys for watching. For GL and Donnie, I'm David Pingree. We'll see you on the next Whiskey Throttle Show.